Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for a little bit of a Thursday night doubleheader on NASCAR 6, live on KRC tonight. Nextel Cup Series edition for the Do It For Dale series, as we have two 50% races for you coming your way on this stream. And we're going to start things off with the Advanced Auto Parts 250 at Martinsville, followed by the Samsung Radio Shack 250 at Texas. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we're about to get into this live stream tonight. For more daily NASCAR content like the live race commentary both during the week on these streams and then on the race weekends of the real races, this is the place to be. And also we are on the road to 3,000 subs, of course, also on the road to becoming a NASCAR commentator. And getting this man right here, the one you are seeing commentate the race on the left-hand side of the screen on a nightly basis, get that guy in the booth. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, though, here tonight. Race number 1 about to begin. No practice or qualifying for either of the two races. Again, they are both 50%ers, so we'll see how this is going to work. Second and third 50% races for the Cup Series this season coming into play tonight. We'll see if Dale Jr. can start from the back, finagle his way forward through the front of the field, and win this first race at the paperclip. Ashton G, Billy Kramer, R6, Billy Carjoy, and others, welcome to the stream. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway at Martinsville Speedway. Bit of a logjam getting down into turn 1. Dale Jr. almost to a complete stop. Squeezed 3 wide and made a bit of contact with Jason Leffler. A lot of jamming going on at the back of the pack right now. A 36 car field. Ran the truck race at Martinsville last night. That was a 36 truck field, and Dale Jr. slowing up quite a bit to keep from running in the back of some of these guys in the opening couple laps. Hornaday got his first Truck Series win last night in a shootout at the end of the race after a longer green flag run. Just one caution in the truck race with contact with Leffler all the way through turns 3 and 4. Dale Jr. on the bottom lane. Made the pass on him. Another bounce off the curb from Dale Jr. He's got a teammate of Michael Waltrip in the 15 car towards the back of the pack right now. Jr. keeps hopping out of line late down the straightaways to keep from running into the back of the cars in front of him, and especially with his teammate Michael Waltrip on the inside lane in front of him. Scott Wimmer not getting Dale Jr. a lot of room. Jr. slides off the exit of the corner. A little contact on the back straightaway. Jr. stuck on the curbing again. He's having a hard time trying not to hit the curbing. He's on the inside of Waltrip, going to outbrake him into turns 1 and 2. And he's also going to get around Casey Mears and get to the inside of Mike Bliss in the 0. Mark DeMars, welcome to the stream. I see you in the chat as well. Craig Franklin, Tyler Burbeck as well in the chat. Martin Truex Jr. is outside the top 25 right now in this race as well, so not a great qualifying effort for the junior, or I almost said Junior Motorsport, the DEI cars today. Rusty Wallace qualified on the pole. He has led the opening few laps of this race. We saw pit strategy come into play last night. A little bump and run from Dale Jr. to Jimmy Johnson that time in 3 and 4. Knocked Johnson right into Ken Schrader, who was on the outside, in fact. Ay, ay, ay. There's a big block by Vickers up on the curbing. Actually made a pass on Ricky Rudd in the process. And now looking to get after the 1 car of Martin Truex Jr. as well. Track position's key. You think Rusty Wallace is going to be the one to beat? It looks to be the case early. Kevin Harvick had the track position, led every lap leading into about the halfway mark during green flag pit stops in the one and only stop in last night's race. This is likely going to be a 2 pit stop race today if I had to guess. I guess you never know. Could be a 1 stopper. Seems like the car's handling pretty well. Similar setup in this Cup car with Dale Jr. today as what I had with Hornaday yesterday. Jr. looking to the inside of Brian Vickers. Going to outbrake him into turns 3 and 4. Makes the pass and will also get around his teammate Martin Truex Jr. At least got to the inside of him. Couldn't clear him yet. Try to clear him this time in turns 1 and 2. And that will be the case. So Dale Jr. up to 28th. Definitely wanting to keep this car as clean as possible. On the inside of John Andretti now in the 14. Dale Jr. is moving through the field pretty good. Slides in line behind Joe Nemechek. 13 laps in and already up 16 positions for Dale Jr., averaging over a position a lap of gaining time. Got to the inside of Nemechek even after hitting the curb that last corner. On the curb again. He's going to be able to clear Nemechek. So this is a short race for the Cup Series, 250 laps. This is about the length of a full truck or Busch Series race at Martinsville. So there's definitely a sense of urgency on. You'll see that in the Texas race immediately after this on the same stream. Junior is coming off a 7th place finish at Bristol in the first short track race of the Cup Series season. So with back-to-back short tracks on the schedule, this could play well. That was in a 100% race as well. Junior led some laps along the way. Dives underneath Jamie McMurray, but that bounce off the curb really slowed the front straightaway speed down for Dale Jr. this time. Still underneath the 42. It does not give him a lot of room there, and Junior backs out, hops back in line again behind McMurray. Good drive off, though. And again, looks to the inside of the 42. Took a peek, and again, we'll just hop in line behind him. Tell Junior is faster than Jamie Mack. Squeeze him a bit. No contact, though. And a nice clean... Well, I was about to say clean pass. I guess he moved up into the side of him. Spoke a bit too soon. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, Wallace has already caught lap traffic, and we're only at lap 17. If I remember right, I feel like it took 30 laps or more to get to lap traffic in the Cup race at Bristol. Dale Jr. already over 12.5 seconds off the lead, though. He's up to 23rd, though, so he's moved through half the field. I'm sure we'll get some cautions in this race today. We have not had a caution-free race yet on NASCAR 06 in any of the top 3 series. And quite a few on NASCAR 05. Dale Jr. hugs the curbing through 3 and 4. He's going to wear those left side tires out a bit more every time he hits it. It's unintentional, really, every time. You want to get as close to the curb as possible without hitting it. Easier said than done. Drove it off pretty flat. Slides up, but clears the 31 of Jeff Burton with a clean pass. Lamoris Jordan, welcome to the stream. Junior's moving through the field pretty good right now, I do have to say. I think he's pacing himself well, at least early on. He definitely would be a little bit more patient, even if he has his equal of a fast, if not a faster race car, but considering it's only 250 laps, he does not want to waste any time. Further in the running order he is when they get to any restarts because of cautions. Obviously, the more likely the pit strategy could play in his favor. It's a lot harder to call strategy races from middle to the back of the pack. It takes even more luck to get yourself in a certain circumstance situation. Matt Kenseth may have just drove into the inside wall going into turn 1 that time. He was trying to block Dale Earnhardt Jr. We'll see if he does it again. Kenseth down on the bottom. Off the curb goes Kenseth. Jr. looks wide, going to dime in the corner off. Cut to the bottom. Now he's inside Kenseth for 20th. And Jr. going to slide up into the 17, making the pass for 20th place. Avion West, welcome to the stream. The bottom is your friend. Yes, it is. I'm trying to read the chat as much as I can. It's very hard at this racetrack on this game. Jimmy Spencer in the top 20 for right now, at least. Dale Jr. looking to get around the 50 of Spencer. Spencer trying to crowd Jr. off the exit of turn 2. Dale Jr. is there, off the curb and right into the side of the 50 of Spencer. That works, I guess. Jr. up to 19th. Doesn't have to worry about surviving a 500-lap race today like he did in the last one, so he can, again, afford to be maybe a bit more aggressive. About a half a lap, though, behind Rusty Wallace. Some lap cars between him and Wallace. Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car now in front of the 8 of Dale Jr. Jr. on the inside, off the curb. Mayfield really pinched him too that time. Remember, Hornaday only led 3 laps in the truck race and pat the victory last night. He's got to be there when it matters the most. That would be in the closing laps. Not like today where you have stage racing and the urgency to run inside the top 10 from start to finish is there. Track position is a thing, but longer cup races in this day and age of NASCAR in the mid-2000s as well. Will we see a repeat winner for the first time on this Cup Series season? 5 races in, we've had 5 different winners so far. Dale Jr. looking low, Wonder Stewart on the curb that time. Just got into Tony, that's going to mess up the corner exit speed for Dale Jr. Dale Jr. going low. Big dive. Another bounce off the curb keeps him from passing Tony Stewart. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in our first race of the day. Jr. being maybe a little extra patient behind Stewart right now. Stewart may be getting backed up with the 29 of Kevin Harvick right in front of him as well. Great corner through 3 and 4 again for Dale Jr. Tony Stewart to the outside. Into turns 1 and 2. Jr. trying to keep it off the curb on the bottom. Trying to find a way to get around Stewart, still side by side for 17th. Dale Jr. going to drive it in really deep now into 3 and 4. Off the curb, but he is going to clear Stewart with a clean pass. Took a few laps to try and make that happen, but he was able to finally get around him. It looks like the first lap car of Jason Leffler in the 11 is just up ahead. Saw him at the rear of the field at the very start of the race. Jimmy Johnson right in line behind Leffler right now. Leffler on the outside, Jimmy underneath him. Kevin Harvick looks like he's going to get to the bottom as well. Dale Jr. looking really low. Oh, Leffler pulled off the outside down to the bottom, blocked the 29 of Kevin Harvick. And that is going to allow Dale Jr. to get around Harvick for position. And that's Shane Meal in the 08, not the 48. As I got closer to him, I was like, wait a minute, that looks like Shane Meal's paint scheme. It is Shane Meal. And the 08 car. Dale Jr. all over the back of him. I don't know if he's a lap down or on the lead lap. If he's on the lead lap, that's impressive that Meal's in 14th right now. Whatever the case is, he is blocking the heck out of Dale Jr. Jr. with the run, gets to the inside of Meal. And that is for a spot, so probably why Meal was racing Dale Jr. as hard as he was. Jr. still makes the clean pass on him. Will bounce off the curb. See if Scott Wimmer's a lap down or not. I believe Wimmer is a lap down. I think I remember seeing him at the very back at the start of the race also. Dark Crypto, welcome to the stream. Yep, this is a doubleheader. Martinsville, Texas. 50% races in both. Somebody asked before the chat, these are 50% races right now. It's like, yes. A 500-lap race at Martinsville, followed by a 500-mile race at Texas. I do not have the mental capacity or capability to be able to run both of those races in the same night. One of them's hard enough. I didn't feel like killing myself tonight. I didn't want this to be the end. I'm too young. I got so much to live for. I didn't feel like going through the gauntlet today. Dale Jr. battling Mark Martin in the 8. Jr. on the inside. Off the curb. Got to clear Martin. That was for 13th. Jr. making the pass. I think Dale Jr.'s got a quick car. He's moving through the field pretty well. Probably a lot quicker than what I thought he was going to. He still has a couple hundred laps to go. I think he's feeling very, very comfortable the way this race is playing out. It's going to be interesting to see how the tires are going to play out, though, as we get longer and longer into this fuel and tire stint before we get that first caution. And it ends up maybe potentially spicing things up even more. Junior off the curb on the inside. Got to clear Rigzo for position regardless. That was for 12th on that pass. Junior slid up a bit. Riggs was still on the outside. He gave Dale Jr. plenty of room there. Remember, again, this is Rusty Wallace's final season. He won a dual race at Daytona on NASCAR 05, but he didn't win a points race. Can we see Rusty Wallace potentially get his final career win today? Obviously, we won't know that at the time because we still have much more left of the season. We still have another race at Martinsville yet this year, too. Casey Kane in the 9 car, battling, trying to hold on to 11th with Dale Jr. right behind him. Terry Labonte in the 44 now, holding Kane up off the exit of turn 4. Junior looking low, really low on the front straightaway. He's going to just sit in line behind Kane again. Junior really rolls that middle to the exit of the corner so much better than all the cars he has passed so far. Lap down or lead lap. Again, really good exit to turn 4. Gets to the inside of Kane. Now he's going to go for it now that they're not 3 wide and they're side by side this time. And Junior will make the pass for 11th place. Only took him 1 turn that time once he got alongside Kane. About as clean as the race car could be, also 50 laps in at Martinsville, passing as many cars as Dale Jr. has passed so far this early in the race. 200 to go. Still wondering if it's going to be a 1 or a 2 stopper. We'll know by around lap 63. The reason why I say that is because if we're not halfway on the fuel tank by then, it's definitely going to be a 1-stop race. You don't want a short pit at Martinsville. We saw the risk of that in the truck race last night. A lot of fast trucks went a lap down. And at lap 52 on the back straightaway, Dale Jr. is now halfway out of gas. And he will make the pass on Dale Jarrett, hugging the curbing through 3 and 4, nice and clean. And Jr. has broken into the top 10 for the first time today, 53 laps in. Yeah, when I was younger, I did mainly only short races. I think I tried to do like 100% races before on NASCAR 07 on my PSP, and I remember my thumb hurting by the end of it because I would hit X for the gas, or even if I tried to switch it to like the right trigger, I would still have like imprints of like my fingers. So I would do like a couple races and then I would like give up after I went a few races into the season. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to keep doing this because I wasn't going to be able to keep it up. That and when I was younger, I was pressing as hard as I could on the controller buttons. It was literally physically taxing on my hands. Carl Edwards trying to hold up Dale Jr. a bit. Didn't work much. Got around it before catching lap cars of Kenny Wallace, and then the Dover Monster, the classic number 100 car. I think it's the first time we've seen him this season. That is his actual name for points paying purposes too, the Dover Monster. BNFS Trains in SoCal, welcome to the stream. Is the Dover Monster for position or is he a lap down? Oh, it is for position. You want to know why he's running well? It's because there's concrete on this racetrack. Is he only going to run the concrete tracks, Bristol, Martinsville, Dover? He better race Dover. I don't remember seeing him at Bristol, though. I think this is the Dover Monster's first appearance on the season. We got a change for the lead right now. Elliott Sadler's out in front. He has battled Rusty Wallace, who led the first 50-plus laps of the race, but now it's Sadler in the lead in what is scheduled to be a 2-pit-stop race today. Dale Jr. going to catch another one of his teammates, Michael Waltrip, in the 15. I know Jeff Gordon's going to be for position up ahead. Casey Mears is a lap down also. The 41, he's the next car in front of Dale Jr. Jr. managing his tires fairly well. He's really not hit the curb too many times in recent laps. Well, spoke too soon. Junior off the curb that time. It's going to slow him up. Take our first field pass of the race today. We'll see what Martin Truex Jr. is up to in the number 1 car. Currently, Truex is still on the lead lap in 29th. One of the last cars on the lead lap. I think Elliott Sadler is only about 4 cars in line behind him. So we'll try to get this one car a little bit further up in the running order. Truex comes in 11th in the point standings. He did not have a good outing at Bristol in the last race, in either the Cup or the Busch race. And he's been on a bit of a free fall in the point standings in the Busch Series. Was leading in points 2 races ago, and now is in 8th. 2 finishes straight outside the top 25. A blown engine at Bristol, and then just barely finished inside the top 30 in the race last night. Truex up to 27th, though, using the lap car of Borisset as a pick to get by Joe Nemechek. Great drive off the exit of turn 2. Quickly dives underneath Bobby Labonte as well for position. Bonnie towards the back of the pack right now, not off to a good start. Kyle Petty in the 45. We're a bit lower, and Martin Truex Jr. is rolling right now since we've taken over his car. A couple more laps and we'll see what Michael Waltrip is doing. We know he's a lap down right now, but not sure exactly what position Waltrip is in. Waltrip is 25th in points coming into this race today. Still no top 10s through the first 5 races either. Compared to his DEI counterparts, he is not doing so hot. Big bump and run from Truex to the 31 of Jeff Burton. And down to the curbing to make the pass. Brendan Littlejohn, welcome to the stream. .44 got a bit loose. We know Labonte's a lap down. Transferring over now to Michael Waltrip in the 15. Staying right in front of Mark Martin. Waltrip is in 38th right now. That is not good at all. This is his last year in the 15 car. I believe Michael Waltrip Racing, it would have started here because the 00 of Kenny Wallace is racing, but Michael Waltrip himself will race the 55 car in NASCAR 07, so this is his last year with DEI. We'll be bringing Napa over with him as well as a sponsor in that game. Casey Kane driving it in deep. Keeping Waltrip behind him. Waltrip looking underneath Kane. I don't think Kane's happy with Waltrip considering that Michael's a lap down and he's battling a lead lap car of Casey Kane really hard. Casey just outside the top 10 right now. Waltrip gonna make the clean pass on him, even with the bounce off the curb. Clear on the front straightaway. Couple more laps and we'll go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 and we'll see what the gap is between him and the race leader of Elliott Sadler. Couple passes for position have been made from Waltrip in recent laps up to 36th. Mike Bliss, I believe, would be the next car for position in front of him, and Bliss is stuck on the outside right now. Michael looking low. And we'll go back to Dale Jr. It's not that much further up ahead. Jr.'s still in 8th, 5.8 seconds off the race lead. Maybe struggling in lap traffic a little bit when we left him. Menard goes from the 33 to the 15. Yes, he does. Taking up the DEI entry. And of course, bringing Menards as a sponsorship with him. The start of the yellow Menards paint schemes in NASCAR in that 2006 season. Who remembers when Paul Menard was at DEI? That actually kind of slipped by me until Davion mentioned that in the chat. I forgot Paul Menard raced. But now that you say that, yeah, I do remember the yellow 15 car being in the games. I believe he'll be in the 11 in the Busch Series, if I'm not mistaken, in that game also with a similar paint scheme. Be pulling double duty. Junior battles to the inside of Jeff Gordon. Sends it into turn 3, and actually got it to stick despite clipping the curbing on corner entry with a flat entry for Dale Jr. that time, but he'll make the pass for 7th place cleanly on Gordon. Didn't waste much time. Travis Quaffle in front of him. He might be on the lead lap. Good run for Quaffle if he is. Rookie for Penske in the 77 car. I knew Wimmer was a lap down. Probably a couple laps down now. Quarter of a tank of gas left for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Going to be at lap 80 this time by. Quaffle was 4th position, so Dale Jr. up to 6th in the opening fuel and tire stint of the race after starting last. No practice or qualifying. It's the second Cup race in which that is the case. The prior one was at Las Vegas a few races ago. Ryan Newman in the 12, likely in the 5th place position. Greg Biffle in 4th, right in front of Newman. Kyle Busch up there as well. That could very well be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place cars. I think Junior has a shot to get into the top 3 before pit stops start. Rusty Wallace in the 2 is right in front of him now. Elliott Sadler's really pulling away. And I think that was the thing. Junior was closing in when Wallace was the leader, and Sadler started to get away after he took the lead. Of course, Junior now less than 4 seconds off the lead, even behind Sadler. It was just over 5.5. And now he's going to catch some faster cars, getting to the inside of Ryan Newman off the exit of turn 4. Really low on the front straightaway is Dale Jr. A little contact with Newman. He'll make the pass with the bump and run. Junior in the top 5 for the first time. Kyle Busch going to pit. Biffle had to check up to keep from turning the 5. And Junior gets by both on the outside of the back straightaway, and he's up to 3rd. So Kyle Busch will be the first car on pit road. A few others will follow from the lead lap behind him. Martin Truex Jr. one of which. who will be on pit road this time, and we'll be seeing green flag pit stops start at lap 83 to 84. And this is where we saw the only caution in the truck race. It was right in the middle of green flag pit stops. We'll see if that'll be the case here. That was a 125 lapper though, half the length of this race. Junior being a little patient. Gets to the outside of Labonte. Jimmy Johnson coming in. Sadler still on the racetrack. Michael Waltrip is in the pits now. From a lap down. Junior closing in on Rusty Wallace for second. Will he get around him before the stops? Wallace checked up off the exit of turn 2 with the lappers of Stewart and Harvick coming out of the pits. And that is going to allow Dale Jr. to clear Rusty Wallace for second place off turn 2. Sadler still on the track. Junior 2.2 seconds behind him at the line. Junior could just keep the car clean, stay out of trouble. I think he's going to have a great shot to win this race today. Vickers turning down in front of Ken Schrader in the 49, trying to get into the pits, and Schrader was working his way off of pit road down the back straightaway. Just dodging the lap cars down the back stretches. An interesting task, to say the least. Rudd might be trying to pit this time. We know Sadler's coming in. Junior darts to the bottom to get around Sadler, and he'll take the lead into 3. But Elliott Sadler was coming in. That's why he gave up the lead. 5 bonus points for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He'll lead his first lap of the race at lap 89. 5 bonus points for the 8. He comes in 8th in the point standings. Again, the top 10 make it to the chase based off of regular season standings alone at the end of the first 26 races. This is races number 6 and 7 tonight. Up 26 on the regular season. Yep, so staying out a bit longer than everybody else. Good, and Dale Jr. still doesn't want to pit because there are some lead lap cars behind him who have not hit pit road yet either. You have trains go by your house quite a bit then, I would assume, BNSF? One set of railroad tracks in the small town I live in. I actually heard it this morning. When I was waking up, I was like, oh, the train's coming through. It's like a once every couple weeks occurrence. But realistically, it feels like it's like a once every, like, it's like a biannual thing. Like, oh, the train's coming through. That's rare. It has to be really quiet for me to recognize it, too. Like when I was waking up. It was an interesting alarm sound to wake up to. And then I was kind of thinking quietly to myself too when that happened. I was like, man, I wonder if I lived next to like railroad tracks in the country, hearing it like every day, all day. I wonder if that would drive me insane. Wake me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning because the train's coming through. Can't get back to sleep. 70 plus trains, man. Dale Jr. has a 1-lap lead on the field, and he is definitely going to take this run as far as he can. Still going to be a 2-stop race. He's going to lose a lot of time because of it. But just playing it this way in case the caution comes out, and I don't think you can blame Dale Jr. for that. He's earned his chance to lead laps as well. Try to rack up as many as possible. We know Rusty Wallace has over 50 laps led. Sadler probably right around 30 laps led or so, maybe just less than that. With contact in front of Dale Jr. between Scott Riggs and Jason Leffler. Gives you good content to upload now. Awesome, man. Sounds like you have fun with it, too. That's the big thing. Jr. looking low. Thought about challenging Riggs there, but Riggs drove it in deep himself, just trying to get around Jason Leffler in the 11. Jr. still can't get around Leffler. And even Leffler, who was the first car to go a lap down earlier, on much fresher tires, Junior's not able to get around him. Nathan Elliott, welcome to the stream. Very, very low on fuel now for Junior. Should be able to get to lap 100 before making his first stop. Dale Jr. underneath Leffler for this entire lap so far. Still can't clear him, though. Leffler with the drive off. Junior's running decent lap time still. Not great, but decent. And finally clears Leffler off turn 2. Just going to continue to sit behind Scott Riggs for right now. Looked low initially. Riggs with a bit of a block. 100 laps in. Dale Jr. still out of the racetrack. He'll stay out one more lap to lap 101. Then he'll pit. So it'll be 101 laps on fuel. On 50% at Martinsville. For race length. On NASCAR 06. Maybe he can go a couple laps further, but not willing to risk it. He's had a great day so far. No need to risk it. Riggs blocking him even though the 8 was coming on to pit road that time. 4 tires and fuel. Full tank, no adjustments for Dale Earnhardt Jr. on pit road for the first time today. Yep, the fuel tank is full. That was the first thing I checked. It was still going to be a one-stopper to the end, though, so I wasn't going to be as worried about it in this race. All right. I think Junior's got a good shot at the win today. Needs a clean stop, though. Both of them. Still caution free, though, through green flag pit stops in Martinsville. Over 100 laps to start the race. 15.1 second stop. Pretty nifty. There goes Sadler in the 38 car. He'll likely be the leader again. Junior going to spin the tires as he comes off of pit road, trying to gas it up as quickly as possible. But second place is where Dale Jr.'s at. He was in 4th when the pit stops first started. Well, technically 5th. Kyle Busch was peeling onto pit road. And so a few spots gained for Dale Jr. He's about 2 seconds off the race lead. I think he was 2.2 behind Sadler when Elliott Sadler pit. So he did gain a couple tenths on him despite pitting well after him. So now it's time for Dale Jr. to go on the attack. And the quicker he can get to the lead, the chance he has at leading the most laps in the race with the win could be available. Jr. on the curbing, shot him right into Bliss on the outside, and Bliss is in the wall. That was a big, gigantic hop off the curb for Dale Jr. I don't think Bliss was too happy with that. Rather wake the train than fire sirens. That's a good point. It's a valid point. I don't usually have to worry about that in my town, luckily. It's pretty quiet here. We have only like 2,000 people. It's really small. One of those towns where like everybody knows everybody. But my family doesn't know everybody, or at least I don't think they do, just because we haven't lived here my entire life, but most of it. And they didn't grow up here either, so that's probably another reason why. They grew up in Ohio, just not in the town we live in right now. Truex to block Labonte behind him. I don't have to worry. Well, Labonte's a lap down too, so I'm not worried about it. Third place would either be Kyle Busch, Greg Biffle. Trying to think who else. Rusty Wallace, probably one of those drivers. Likely in third. Junior to the inside of Jimmy Spencer. Junior made a little contact with Spencer the last time he was around him. Trying to make the pass on him. Pretty decent corner for Dale Jr. and quickly underneath Ken Schrader. 1.4 seconds off the lead from Elliott Sadler in the 38. Don't forget, we still have a second race at Texas. Dale Jr. wants to get a shot at the regular season championship. 8th in points right now. He's got some catching up to do. Just barely within one race worth of points right now. 143 out of the lead. A great performance today at Martinsville, leading a lot of laps and winning the race could go a long way. And he is now, for the first time in this race today, less than 1 second off the lead, at least on normal race pace. He led about a dozen laps during the middle of green flag pit stops. From lap 89 to lap 101. Passed 2 lap cars into 3 and 4 that time. Dale Jr. is booking it. Tony Stewart in the 20 is about to go a lap down to Elliott Sadler. Sadler still can't get around him. Second corner in a row. He's met stuck on the inside of the 20, and Dale Jr. is there. Jr. going to start wide in the corner. Dive it down to the exit. Really low. It's going to allow him to get underneath Tony Stewart that time. Sadler has cleared him, and Sadler is in danger of losing this lead because Dale Jr. has booked it through the field. Curb might have helped Sadler a bit that time, but Jr. still underneath him. Into turn 3. He's going for it. Little bit of contact. Making sure he was going to trap the 38 car behind the 22 of Wimmer, and Dale Jr. is back in the lead at Martinsville at lap 115. Only went about 14 laps without the lead from the time he pitted to the time he was able to get it back under normal race pace speed. And Dale Jr., one of the few times in the Busch or the Cup Series season, is out in front. And it's at Martinsville. Can he get the job done today? I saw somebody say something earlier about what happened to, like, the new layout. I think you were talking about Martinsville. So, 2004 would have been the last game. This track had a very old surface. It was repaved during the 05 season, or at least at the time this game came out. For the start of the 05 season, one or the other. Regardless of the fact, that's why the asphalt's much blacker than what it was in NASCAR 05. So, for those of you wondering, I mentioned that during the truck race last night at Martinsville on this game, but figured I'd mention it again. Sadler closed back in on Jr. that last time off turn 4 as Jr. got in the back of the 36 of Borised, trying to put him another lap down. Junior Nation on their feet. Took a long time for Dale Jr. to get a win at Martinsville in his career, but we're trying to do it for the first time ever for him in his DEI days. Driving the Budweiser number 8 with the alternative paint scheme tonight as well. Seems to be a good short track racer this season in both the Busch and the Cup Series. His only Busch win in the first 7 races came out of a half-mile short track. Fortunately finished 42nd at Bristol. That's because he ran out of fuel with 4 to go. Just didn't play the strategy game right. How the cautions panned out in that one. He went longer than anybody else on fuel, at least in this race today, though, so he feels a bit confident with that. I'm sure we're going to see some drivers pit as soon as the window's open to the end of the race as well. Once we get there. We're almost halfway home, which means we'll have our first trivia question of the night. We'll have a trivia question during each race in this live stream, and you won't have to go anywhere. Both races in the same live stream as well. Yep, that's right. Piece of concrete came up, put basically a hole in the radiator of Jeff Gordon's race car. Wasn't he leading when that happened? Yeah, they had a lengthy red flag because of it. I will give you guys a fair warning about tonight's trivia question. It is very hard. I don't know if anybody's going to get it. I think somebody will eventually. But I don't know, though, because there's going to be a time limit. You guys are only going to have a certain amount of laps to be able to do it. We'll be halfway home this time by. Hopefully you guys are ready. Gordon was second when that happened. Gotcha. Alright, time for tonight's trivia question. We're halfway through this 250-lap race at Martinsville in the first race of our doubleheader tonight. Dale Jr. trying to make a pass on Michael Waltrip in the 15. Waltrip will go a couple laps down. The trivia question tonight. We all know that the 2005 Coca-Cola 600 had the record for the most cautions in a single NASCAR race. But what is the Coke 600 that has had the most caution laps? So that is the question to tonight's trivia question. Which Coke 600, what year did the Coke 600 have the most caution laps for a Coke 600 event, if that makes any sense? So what Coke 600 had the most caution laps ran in it? It was not 2005. And it wasn't this year either. Those will be the two hints. 90 laps of caution this year, just over 100. Yeah, now 2022. It's not this year and it's not 2005. Interestingly enough, they had way less caution, so I'm actually going to click on Racing Reference and try to figure out exactly why they had as many caution laps as they did. Nope, not 2014, not 2012. John Andretti really blocking Dale Jr. off. Jr. trying to get around him off the curb, can't do it. Andretti's holding Dale Jr. up quite a bit right now. I like how he's guessing a bunch of years. One at a time. I have not seen the right answer yet. There's so many going off right now that it's going to be hard for me to keep track of. So just keep guessing, and once I see it correctly, then you guys will... I'll give you guys the answer. But you guys have until lap 140. So 8 more laps. 9, really. Conclusion of lap 140. I'll give you guys the answer to the trivia question if I do not see it. I see 2022 again on there. Again, not this year and not 2005. Those are the hints. What year was the most caution laps that a Coke 600 ran? What year did that race happen? '85. I'm surprised. I'm not gonna give it away. I almost gave away another hint, and I didn't want to do that. About to say, I'm surprised you didn't guys guess like a certain range of years that I didn't want to give away, and almost did. Seeing some from the 90s, seen one from the 80s. I have not seen it though. I have not seen the year. They're coming in rapid fire. It's really hard for me to keep track. Hopefully I do see it, or if I don't see it, that you guys don't get upset with me if I didn't see it and I give you guys the answer. It's a tough one though. I have not seen it. No, not 75. I like that you guys are you're going big though. A lot of 2000 guesses, but there's a lot of guesses from the 80s, from the 70s I'm seeing, 90s. Nope, still haven't seen it. Keep guessing. You guys have 5 more laps to try and figure it out. I know who won the race, and that's all I know of it. And I only know based off of Racing Reference. Somebody was close. Somebody was close in the chat, but I still haven't seen it yet. They're a few years off. Oh, Sadler charging to the inside of Dale Jr. Jr. gets the drive off, and he'll be able to block Sadler on the back straightaway. Oh, Sadler tries to move Dale Jr. That might have been successful. Sadler to the lead at Martinsville. A little bump and run on Dale Jr. Jr. trying to pass him back cleanly. Still don't think I've seen the answer. Oh, man, I messed the corner up looking at the chat. Not too bad, though. I don't think I've seen it yet. I've seen some really close answers, but I don't think I've seen it. The end of this lap, I'll give you guys the answer to the question. I'll pause it for a moment, and I'll read you guys some stats from that race. Man, some of you are very, very close. I don't think I've seen it, though. All right, the answer to tonight's trivia question. First of all, of course, the question was, what year had the most caution laps in a Coca-Cola 600? I don't think I've seen the answer. You guys have to let me know if you saw it in the chat. 1967, or sorry, 68. 1968 was the year. So the 1968 Coca-Cola 600 had the most cautions in it. I saw some really close guesses. I'll go back through the chat real quick just to see if I missed it. 1968. I see 61, 63. Saw a lot from the 60s, so I might have missed it. Now, 66, 54, 79, 73, 72, 61, 63, 1940. The Coke NASCAR wasn't even around in 1940. 64. Somebody said 64 because of the Fireball Roberts incident. That's a good educated guess, but 68 was the year. See 65, 71. I did not see 68, so I don't think anybody got the answer right tonight. I don't see it in the chat. I was going back through. A lot of you guys were really close. I saw a lot of 60s at the end there, and I was trying to see if I saw 68. I didn't see it. Alrighty, so let me read some stats from the 1968 Coke 600. They had 110 caution laps in that race. That's the most. Obviously, it was actually, the race ended at 383 laps. Believe it or not, we'll see what, or 383. What the? Hang on. Yeah, let me click on this. So they ran 383 of the 600 miles, but they had 110 caution laps. What happened in this race? 6 cautions for 110 caution laps. Buddy Baker wins, leading 98 laps in the race. Only 2 cars finished on the lead lap. It was Buddy Baker and Donnie Allison. Why did they have so many caution laps? Race was shortened due to rain at lap 255. Okay. Kind of figured that. So that's why it was rained short, or it ended short. I want to know when the cautions took place. Usually Racing Reference shows you what the incidents were for. Let's see. Cale Yarborough had a crash. Engine failure for Paul Goldsmith. Oil leak from Bob Cooper. Transmission on Bud Moore. Transmission on Sonny Hutchins, whoever that is. Richard Petty had an ignition failure. He DNF'd in that race. Daryl Derringer, he crashed out. Bobby Allison had an engine failure. A lot of notable names did not finish this race. Why did this race have 110 caution laps? I need to Google the 1968. Hang on. 1968 World 600. We're having a deep dive in tonight's trivia fact. Why was there 110 caution laps in a race that only had 6 yellows? That's insane. On a mile and a half, nonetheless. Let's see what the chat's saying right now. Dang, yeah. Waiting to 68, yeah. Everybody else is shocked that they had that many caution laps, too. I don't know why the 1968 Coke 600 had that many caution laps. Okay. I'm on Wikipedia right now. 63, Smith is 62, yada, yada, yada. I don't want to know the timeline. Oh, here we go. Lap 45, Cale Yarborough had a terminal crash, forcing him to retire from the race. So he was the driver who finished last. Jerry Grant took over the lead. Never heard of him. From Cale Yarborough. So Cale Yarborough crashed while leading. He was also the pole sitter of the race. Troublesome valve took J.C. Spencer off the track. Earl Ballmer couldn't handle his vehicle, exiting him from the race. Yarborough took over the lead from Donnie Allison. An oil leak from Bob Cooper's car forced him to stop racing for the day. Donnie Allison took the lead from him. I'm trying to figure out where why there were so many caution laps. Wikipedia's not giving me anything that... Race report. Race ended... race was shortened due to 255 laps due to rain. After being able to race for 3 hours and 4 minutes in front of 60,000 people. Rain had started to appear much earlier in the race, but flagman Johnny Bruner would not have waved the caution flag until conditions got dangerous. That sounds like New Hampshire last season. That sounds like New Hampshire from the Cup Series last year. It was raining, but it didn't seem dangerous enough, so we just kept them racing. That's insane. On an oval, a banked oval like that, especially in the 60s, as if like racing wasn't dangerous enough in the 60s. Yeah, let's just throw a little bit of rain on top of it. 0.3 of an inch of rain were reported at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's insane. And they didn't call it? That wasn't dangerous enough? Buddy Baker would defeat Donnie Allison under the race's 6th and final caution flag. Kelly Yarborough finished last after starting on the pole, crashed at lap 45. All the competitors were born in the U.S. That's an interesting stat. Except for Canadian Frog Fagan. Never heard of him. Frog Fagan raced in the Coke 600 back in 1968. The World 600 at that time. Pole was 159.223 miles an hour. I'm trying to figure out... Daryl Daringer would be a part of the race's second crash, lap 212, giving him a 32nd place finish. Prior to this race, Bulmer was known as the winner of the 66 500 qualifying winner. I don't know. I can't figure out why there were so many caution laps. I wonder if it was because of rain, because they mentioned that it was raining earlier in the day. I wonder if they were just running under like caution flag. But it said that they didn't throw the caution because of the rain, according to Wikipedia. Dude named Dale, welcome to the stream. Dale, you need to let me know down in the chat. 1968 Coke 600. I give a trivia fact. Oh, Jesus. I give a trivia fact every midway point of the race. We're halfway through this race at Martinsville right now, and we're trying to figure out why the 1968 Coca-Cola 600 or the World 600 at the time had 110 caution laps. And they only had 6 cautions. It's the most caution laps in a Coke 600. That was the answer to the trivia question, was what Coke 600 or World 600 had the most caution laps ran during it. And I can't figure it out. I am looking on Wikipedia right now. There were a couple races. We have come to the conclusion that they, I guess, raced in the rain. Flagman didn't throw the caution because it didn't seem like it was dangerous enough, I guess. Was the reason, basically, is what it came down to. The reason why they didn't throw the caution originally for rain until lap 255. 255, it was too dangerous. Which, if I had to guess, they probably had some drivers crashing, and they're like, you know what, this is getting kind of sketchy out here. I guess we should end this. 3 hours and 4 minutes to run 255 laps in the Coke 600. That's insane. Peter Conover, welcome to the stream as well. Slim Jimmy, welcome. Cameron Merez, welcome to the stream. See if I missed anybody else that has just joined in the chat here recently. I saw a bunch of people guessing earlier. Sorry for taking a break from the race. I usually don't pause it, but I wanted to look into a deep dive as to why that race had so many caution laps. Patrick Shadley, welcome to the stream. KRC race breaks, absolutely fantastic and more entertaining than Fox race breaks. Ran caution laps because they wanted to help drive the track. That does seem like it would be the case. I feel like it, but at least according to Wikipedia, which isn't always the most factual evidence, but I'm not going to lie, I used Wikipedia a lot on my reports when I was in school, so there are some factual stuff, so a lot of factual things on Wikipedia. But from what I'm seeing, rain started to appear much earlier in the day, but flagman Johnny Bruner would not have thrown the caution flag until the conditions got dangerous. Throughout the day, there were 0.3 of an inch of rain reported at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I don't know. Because Racing Reference usually shows when the cautions like came out, what they came out for, and at least in the 1968 World 600, that is not the case. So I had to go into Wikipedia to look that up. It shows all the lead changes and what laps they took place and how many laps they led, but it's not showing the reasons for all the cautions like usual. It's 69. I want to see if they show when what the cautions were for there. No, they don't. It must be a lot of races in the 60s are like that. I usually don't look at Racing Reference that far back, random races in the 60s, but all right. Well, there's our interesting fact of race 1. All right, back to the original racing action. Hate to take the break like that, especially in a battle for the lead right now. Not mess this corner up after unpausing it. Well, I just went wide. Yep. Oh, now I got a car underneath me. Sorry, Sterling. That's what I get for pausing. That's why I don't pause it. I make mistakes like that. And now Elliott Sadler's got a little over half a second lead. Just over 100 laps to go right now in the Advanced Auto Parts 250. First race of our doubleheader on the channel tonight. Yeah, I mean, that's true. NASCAR would do that, but that's a lot of caution laps, though. Because for only having 6 yellows, I don't know. Sadler's starting to get away. Lap car holding Dale Jr. up just a little bit right now. I didn't even see you mention y'all didn't really have to do it for me. I saw that comment earlier, went right over my head, and I just saw it again, and I was like, wait a minute, I know what he's talking about with that. Jr. starting to run down Elliott Sadler again. I think Rusty Walls has still led the most laps in this race up to this point. And Vickers running off the wall a little bit on the front stretch. Dale Jr. just going to let him go for the time being, drop in line behind him and try to get back around him. Sadler's struggling to get around Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car right now as well. And he'll clear him, and Vickers sent it into 3 and 4 to get to the inside of Mayfield as well. Susie Niedercheck, welcome to the stream. Three wide, bit of contact. Mayfield and Earnhardt underneath. Vickers was on the high side. You're trying to get through here. Just over 20 people watching right now. Only 15 likes, though. Be sure to hit that like button. I think we had 24 a little bit ago when we were trying to figure out the 1968 Coke 600 caution lap scenario, but we are back. LGBT NASCAR fan. What is that? Michael Waltrip forever. Welcome to the stream. Michael Waltrip fan, I would assume. Interesting. You'll be sad to hear that he's 25th in points after 5 races on this season right now. I think we can all agree, though, that he had a pretty successful ownership in NASCAR. I know things didn't really end the way they probably should have, and the whole Spingate fiasco ended up happening. But I think overall, you know, if you eliminate the Spingate scenario, I think he had a pretty successful career as an owner in the Cup Series. I mean, think of all the competitive teams that were in NASCAR that time, and really most of them that are still there today. And to win a few races a year with multiple different drivers, I'd say that's pretty good. Almost won a championship. I mean, you could argue that could be one of the best NASCAR teams, organizations to never win a Cup Series championship. I think that could be a somewhat debatable argument. Junior's getting roughed up with lap traffic as Sadler seemingly getting through it a bit better. Don't forget the jet fuel. Okay, yeah, well, outside of any of the allegations they ended up having, on-track success, in the statistic book, that's where I'll base most of the success off. Closing on Sadler that last lap, 0.2 of a second is the difference, but you don't really have to worry about that because they are bumper to bumper. Junior off the curb though in 3 and 4. Cost him the corner exit speed to get around Sadler. Sadler gasses it up now underneath the 22 of Wimmer, going to put him another lap down. Just less than 100 laps to go at Martinsville. Junior again looks low on the front straightaway underneath Sadler. Should have him in turns 3 and 4, I'd have to imagine this time, and a clean pass for Junior up off the curbing. Still holds clear. Sadler's going to have a bit of a run on the front stretch now. Dale Jr. back out in front at Martinsville. Now can he drive away from him? He had about a 1 second lead on him at one point before he started struggling in lap traffic, and Sadler was able to close the gap, take the lead back himself for probably a couple dozen laps. Good streetcar entertainment at Martinsville. Could you imagine all the scrapes and scuffs on streetcars racing at Martinsville? You can't not make contact at this racetrack. For a long race, at least. I see not in real life. Okay. I didn't see that at first. I have to read the longer comments in the chat over the course of a couple different straightaways. At least here. Jimmy Johnson going to go a lap down already, and we have cars pitting. So the window is open to make it to the end of the race now with about 90 laps to go. Dale Jr. made it 101 laps before he hit pit road. Just drilled the inside wall into turn 1, trying to block Jimmy Johnson. Sadler still on the track. McMurray going to pit from the tail end of the lead lap. A lot of other cars are already on pit road. Again, our Truck Series race at Martinsville last night only had one caution in the 125 lap race, and it was about halfway through. Greg Biffle coming out of the pit lane on the bottom. Junior cycles in front of him. It's a wide corner entry for Dale Jr. that time. Oh, Loeffler trying to pit in front of him. Junior nearly turned the 11 car in the backstretch. Bit of contact. That could have been much worse. Again, involved in a caution. I cannot pit for fuel or tires. Definitely did not want to turn Loeffler in that situation, knowing that we are within the window to make it to the end of the race. We're trapped quite a few cars a lap down, but then the cars who have not pitted likely would have pit. Dale Jr. wouldn't have been able to. He is pulling away from Sadler, about 1.6 seconds ahead of him, and there's the caution flag. Now Dale Jr. can pit. So caution flag is out for the first time today, over 150 laps. Green flag. Terry Labonte in the 44 Kellogg Chevrolet loses control off the exit of turn 2. Backs it into the outside wall, so a little wreck there for Terry Labonte. Single car accident. Car slipped out from underneath him when he was trying to pick the throttle back up, and we have our first caution. And now Dale Jr. will lead the field onto pit road. Definitely going to top off on fuel. No adjustments, 4 tires. And this is the money stop now under the yellow flag, and there are a decent amount of drivers trapped a lap down following that caution because of pitting before the yellow. Oh, geez, Casey Mears. Drove right through us. Elliott Sadler wins the race off of pit road. Clean stop for the 18, but they did lose 1 spot in the pits. It looks like somebody else might have been on pit road when the caution waved, because Carl Edwards is now the leader for the first time today. Green flag back in the air, and never mind. I guess Edwards, not sure why he's lined up on the outside, but he is. 3 wide off the exit of turn 2. Contact between Gordon and Earnhardt. The lap car's down on the bottom. Dale Jr. is able to get there now. So is Sadler. Jr. just overdrove it right into the side of Matt Kenseth. Dale Jr. Great run off the exit of turn 4. He's underneath the 38. Sadler not going to give any room either. 3 wide. Jarrett clipped the 8 of Earnhardt, and that shot him into his teammate, who was battling for the lead, and that is going to allow Dale Jr. to get out in front now. First lap since the restart that the 8 car is out in the lead with just less than 80 laps to go. 78 left for Dale Jr. to try and pick up his 2nd win of the season. Yeah, Terry Labonte doing some drifting himself. He's practicing for that sports car race here. So Edwards and Biffle trying to hang on to their lead lap status and hope for another caution. I would imagine that they're going to hold Dale Jr. back. They were both in the top 10. In fact, Biffle was in the top 5 earlier in the race at one point, but they had pitted and fortunately put themselves in this circumstance now. We're going to take our 2nd and final field pass of the first race of this doubleheader now. We'll take a look at what Michael Waltrip is up to in the field. We were just talking about him a little bit ago. He's in 29th, so he's moved up a bit. He was 38th earlier in the race. He is 2 laps down now. I think he actually gained spots because he did not pit before the caution. Neither did Martin Truex Jr. He actually just made a pass on Jeff Green for 28th. Well, he's up a few spots at least. Pit for 4 tires late. Depends how many laps are left, because if there's only going to be a few left, I don't know how many cars are on the lead lap exactly. I know there's quite a few lap down because of the long green flag run to start the race. Over 160 laps before that first caution, as well as the fact that we were in the middle of green flag pit stops. You can see the 1 car of Martin Truex Jr. just up ahead. I wonder if he's on the lead lap or not. I'd imagine he was 1 down. He'll likely gain some positions regardless of the fact as well. And of course, more positions up for grabs in front of him also. Trip off the curb. Got chopped off by his teammate Truex. Not going to look to pass him because we're going to switch to Truex next. And I know he's ahead of Waltrip anyway, so I don't want to make Truex have to pass an extra car that he doesn't have to. We'll just sit behind him for another lap and a half. We'll swap to the 1 car, and then we'll go back out in front as Dale Jr. still leads at Martinsville late in this race. Marlin just clipped the inside wall getting into turn 1. braking early again. Lets Truex down in front of him. Ooh, a little contact. Walter got into Martin Truex Jr. that time. Stays behind him. Mayfield checked up behind Kurt Busch. Truex is 1 lap down in 14th. Not sure who would be for position and who wouldn't be at this point. Clip the curbing. Maybe Truex is the first car lap down. You never know. I don't think that's the case, considering some of the cars that were a little bit further up on the restart on that inside lane around Sadler and Dale Jr. But a much better spot, though, because Truex was outside the top 20, so that caution paid out for him as well, even though he is still a lap down. He's going to risk it 3 wide underneath the Roush cars of Kurt Busch and Mark Martin. Can't get around either one that time. And got into the side of Martin there as well. Chris Buescher out with COVID. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't react to it earlier, but somebody commented about it earlier too. That stinks. That's another Roush driver that's going to have a bigger points deficit than what they already were in. Keselowski with that penalty earlier this season. And now Chris Buescher. I don't know where Buescher was at in points exactly. I think he was around 20th, though. Missing a whole race, though. He was likely in a must-win situation before. He definitely is now. Yeah, hopefully he gets well soon as well. That stinks. Zane Smith going to make his Cup debut. He's got experience at Gateway. That could pan out. He's never raced the next-gen car. Has he even tested the next-gen car before? Or is he just going to hop right in? And he's probably just going to make his first start in that car. If he just makes it through the end of the race without wrecking, that would be impressive in and of itself. Especially at a new track. I heard they're probably going to be shifting into turn 1 potentially multiple times. Zane Smith has never done that at Gateway in the Truck Series, so we'll see. We'll bump and run for Truex to get around Tony Stewart in the 20. There's a pass for 12th. Truex has a shot at the top 10. Again, he comes into this race 11th in points, so despite the fact he didn't start this race off very well, he got lucky with the caution. So underneath Casey Kane, going to battle him for likely 11th. We'll go back to Dale Jr. for the rest of this race, though. Going to wrap it up for our field pass. Jr. has just over a 1 second lead still over Elliott Sadler's. A lap Boris said that time by at the lines. 59 laps to go. Nearing lap 200. Black Superman. Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but welcome to the stream. Thanks for subbing, though. Appreciate it. I'll just call you Black Superman for sure. Appreciate you tuning into the stream as well. You'd have to delete the message. The username itself I wasn't going to read, but there's been some other usernames in the past I wasn't going to read, but appreciate you subbing, man, tuning in. Trying to get Dale Earnhardt Jr. his first championship. Trying to make it into the chase again. He comes in 8th in points, not in a comfortable spot. Elliott Sadler has ran him down. He was 1.1 seconds off the lead. It felt like just a few laps ago, and Jr. isn't struggling with lap traffic at all, but Sadler is just getting through it better. Usually see on the short tracks that the Lead fluctuates back and forth quite a bit due to lap traffic on long green flag runs. One car blowing up on the bottom of the racetrack into turns 1 and 2. That's Shane Neal in the 0-8. Junior going to go wide to miss him, as is the rest of the lap cars. Oh, Elliott Sadler checked up, and he's about a second and a half off the lead again, so that costed Sadler. Junior just overdrove turns 3 and 4, got into the left rear of Kenny Wallace. That's going to slow Earnhardt up a bit. Hard to tell for sure, but it looks like Jeff Gordon's right behind Sadler. I'm not sure if he's a lap down or not. I don't know who's all on the lead lap and who isn't outside of Sadler and Earnhardt 1-2. Caution definitely randomized the running order up a little bit. Middle of green flag stops. Lap 250 to go this time by. We're not going to take a long break between races, but I will have to refill my water, so just giving you guys a fair warning. No practice or qualifying, though, for Texas, just like Martinsville. And that scares me because a mile and a half have been edgy in this game. But the short tracks, they seem to get the hang of well, even without practice, which I'm quite surprised. Dale Jr. finished 7th at Bristol, was fast in the Busch race, and speed here at Martinsville, and he's got a shot to win. We practiced or qualifying in the truck race at Martinsville last night with Ron Hornaday, got our first truck win 4 races into the season. Asa Mears going to go a lap down. Couple lap cars between the top 2 as well right now. Dale Jr.'s just hoping it stays green to the end. He doesn't want to have to try to deal with another restart with the lap cars on the inside of the lead lap cars. This would not be the longest green flag run of the race. If we do go green to the end, it'll be just less than 90 laps. Going to alternate through the different camera angles one final time in the first race of our doubleheader tonight. Feeling pretty good about this one, ladies and gents. Big run right now for Dale Jr. He's underneath the 45 of Kyle Petty. Still going to have to get through the lap traffic really well. Obviously, that could change to the end of the race. Off the curbing is Earnhardt. Trying to stay off the 45 of Petty to the outside. And he'll clear him in the middle of 3 and 4. A little hop off the curb again. Still 1.6 second lead. Comment in the chat down below. Do you guys think we're going to see another caution before the end of this race? Let me know. We see a second yellow. After Junior got around Kyle Petty, the field a little bit more spaced out, at least for the short time being. Dark Crypto says there will be another caution. So does Billy Carjoy. Never know in this game. Yeah, this game has been wild for those of you wondering how the season's gone so far. In any of the 3 series, they've all been so unpredictable. Really only had a couple races come down to the wire just because I'm seemingly not in contention for the win most of the time. But Martinsville, the truck race last night, and in the cup race today, competitive at least. Whether it's been Dale Jr. or Ron Hornaday. Jr. looks to the inside. McMurray with a big time block into turn 1. McMurray off the curb just a bit. Dale Jr. touched it as well. He's underneath the 42 car into turn 1. He's committed this time. And he'll make the pass. Sadler not really closing a whole lot on Dale Jr. in recent laps, kind of staying right between 1.4 to 1.6 seconds off the lead. Dale Jr. to the inside of the 31 of Jeff Burton. Side by side through 1 and 2. But still on the outside, might lose a spot back there. Ran a 19.979 a few laps ago. Good to know. Pretty good lap in traffic. A little bit older tires. About 50 laps on them. Plus a little bit of acceleration with the fuel and tire wear consumption as well, being a 50% race. A bit of contact, but past the 25 of Brian Vickers. And now a little rub on the side of the 43 of Jeff Green. 2-second lead for Dale Jr., his largest lead on actual race pace so far today. Don't forget, he's got a shot to lead the most laps in this race if he continues to lead to the end. I think he's going to be able to get there. Sadler led a lot of laps. Might have caught Rusty Wallace, who led the first 50-plus laps of the race today. I believe those are the only 3 drivers to lead laps in today's race would be Rusty Wallace, Dale Jr., and Elliott Sadler. A couple lead changes between them. Green flag pit stops and even the pit stop during the yellow. Contact, Jeff Green. Slim Jimmy, I did not hear about that, so I'm not going to say that that was true or false, because I had not heard anything about that until you just mentioned it. I hope that's not true. Toxic Punk Youngboy, welcome to the stream. Saw it on Facebook earlier. So like a fake news item. Yeah, about it being a fake news item? I hope so. That's nothing to joke about. Jimmy Johnson put the boot to Jeremy Mayfield up ahead. Another car blowing up on the inside of the racetrack trying to get to pit road, and he will. We'll stay green. Didn't get to see who that was. Greg Biffle in the 16. He was one of the points leaders. One of the drivers up towards the front of the point standings at least. That's big. I believe Greg Biffle was the driver who just blew an engine moments ago. Dale Jr. continues to pull away from Sadler. He has clinched the most laps led as of a few laps ago, so that will be 10 bonus points there. 2.2 second lead for Dale Jr. over Elliott Sadler. Nikki Brown, welcome to the stream. 19 likes on the stream so far. Definitely hit that like button, subscribe. Again, for more daily NASCAR content if you are new. Live race commentary on the race weekends for the real races and the video game races during the week. Though this weekend, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get a live commentary in. I definitely won't for the Cup race. I'll be at Gateway this weekend for the Cup race. We'll see about Saturday's action. Junior looking low on Mayfield. Just past Jimmy Johnson that last lap. Off the curb. Got to clear Mayfield with a clean pass on the back stretch. Still needs to get through the lap traffic cleanly to the end and not make things interesting. Mayfield crosses Dale Jr. over to the inside. A little bit of contact off the exit of turn 2. Jr. gets back down to the bottom. Probably costed Dale Jr. a couple tenths of a second there. Trying to get to the inside of Joe Nemechek. Bounced off the curb and then got into the left rear of him. 20 to go as he nearly turned Nemechek around. Two and a half second lead again for Dale Jr. I think he could rest easy with this. Just desperately wanting that white flag to come out. No cautions on the final lap. Jason Leffler, one of the last cars on the track running right now. Blocking Dale Jr. on the back straightaway. Gonna block him again on the front straightaway. He held himself up as well, getting into the curb in 3 and 4 that last time. Now Jr. does it himself through 1 and 2. I don't think see, Mark, I read your I just read your comment. That's what I was thinking originally. I think I think that is his his or her favorite driver, I believe. Jr. going to get into Jason Leffler just a bit. Leffler's been holding him up the last few laps. First time they've made contact with one another. That time through 1 and 2. Dale Jr. going to make the pass. 19.911 that last lap, even with contact with Leffler. This is awkward. Yes, it is. Been very, very strange night in the chat. The last 20 to 30 laps. Got some misinterpreted news. Got people misinterpreting stuff in the chat on top of the fake news. Supposedly fake news. Ten laps to go. 2.8 seconds and growing still for Dale Earnhardt Jr. I don't think he has to worry about passing another lap car. I think he'll just sit tightly behind Bliss and monitor if he is getting ran down in any way, shape, or form by Elliott Sadler. But I do not think he is. Eight laps to go for the 8 car in the lead. Definitely not pushing hard as of right now. Taking it easy, hoping it stays green to the finish. What happens if Zane Smith wins at Gateway? Driver controversy? Oh boy, that would be interesting. I mean, he's got experience at the track. I think he can perform well. The problem is he's never driven the next-gen car before. And I think the big issue with that is that there's likely going to be shifting into turn 1 at Gateway. With how flat and long the racetrack is, because it's a little over a mile in length, about a mile and a third roughly. I just don't know if that's going to bode well for Smith. I'm glad he's getting the opportunity, though. That'd be cool to see what he does. I do not have Gateway Cup picks at all right now. I'll have that in my predictions video this weekend, as usual. Four laps to go at the line. Finally got around Bliss a couple corners ago, and I believe Bliss had a mistake in 3 and 4 that last lap as well. Matt Kenseth trying to get around Ken Schrader. Dale Jr. still going to sit behind him. He just does not want a caution to come out. Not going to work. Risking racing extremely hard with these other drivers. 2.1 second lead at the line. Again, Jr. kind of just stalling himself purposely behind lap cars. Just trying to stay out of harm's way. Run consistent laps. We're late enough now. Caution comes out. The race is going to end under yellow. Only have 3 laps to go. Make that 2 at the line, and no cautions on the final lap. He was a little bit quicker than Sadler that last lap, even sticking right behind Kenseth and Schrader. Lap and a half left, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be a 2-time winner this season. He'll be the first driver to win more than 1 race on the Cup Series season. Took 6 races to get a repeat winner in the Cup Series. Both wins going to be in 50% races, though. He's still going to have to climb the hurdle of winning a 100% Cup race. But he is going to get the last lap today as he drives underneath Ken Schrader. He'll lap him again through 3 and 4. Checkered flag waving on the other side. Dale Jr. is a winner at Martinsville, and a grandfather clock will be awarded to him for the first time in his DEI career. Terrible burnout. It ran right into the front stretch wall. That was just to make sure I passed post-race inspection, because this car was fast tonight. Oh, that's right, 50-minute practice session. Yeah, it is a new track. I forgot to get a full practice session this weekend. I just banged the rear end of the wall for extra measure on the post-race inspection, by the way. Great smoke show outside of hitting the wall on the front stretch. You can't even see the grandstands right now. Jerry Faznat, I see you in the chat as well. Thanks for tuning in. Reagan Fan 6, welcome. That was just the first race tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another race at Texas coming up. 50%er, but first we'll check the finishing results. Dale Jr. dominates this race today, even from starting at the rear of the field. Led 128 of the 250 laps. Most laps he's led in a race this season. Jeff Gordon actually ended up finishing in second. Got around Elliott Sadler late. Might have been some of the reason why Sadler was losing time, battling Gordon for second. But Gordon finishes second, Elliott Sadler third. Sadler led 67 laps today. Kevin Harvick finishes in fourth, and rounding out the top 5 was, I believe, Kurt Busch. Let me check. Kyle Busch. Sorry, Kyle Busch rounds out the top 5 and 5th. So a good run for the rookie. in his first trip to Martinsville in the Cup Series. Travis Kvapil, another rookie, finishes top 10, finishing 6th. Ran there most of the day in the top 10 as well. Rusty Wallace qualified pole, finished 7th, led 55 laps to start the race tonight. Ryan Newman finishes in 8th, Carl Edwards 9th, and Scott Riggs rounds out the top 10 in today's race. Only 10 cars finished on the lead lap. Again, we had a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops. That was the only caution of the race with about 90 laps to go. So 1 caution for 3 caution laps. Least amount of yellows we've had in a Cup race this season. 10 lead changes, 89.01 miles per hour is the average race speed, and a 2.2 second margin of victory. Total race time, 1 hour, 28 minutes on this first race of the doubleheader today. Truex finished 13th. Good run for him despite finishing a lap down. Decent at least for the rookie. And then Michael Waltrip 25th, right where he came in points. Caution actually helped him gain a few spots, but he finished 3 laps down today. Unfortunately, just did not have the speed that his teammate Dale Jr. did. Yeah, how about Travis Kvapil? How about him? Scott Riggs, too, getting the top 10. Good run for both of those guys. A rookie and then a second-year driver. Picks are Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, and Hamlin. Samsung Radio Shack 250 at Texas will be the next race. We'll check the point standings before we go into that one. I saw Greg Biffle blow an engine. He was in the top 5 in points coming into this race. So that is pretty big. We'll see where everybody is running in the standings. Dale Jr. likely picking up some spots. Gains 3 spots in points. Goes from 8th to 5th. Only 126 out of 1st. Carl Edwards is the points leader. Biffle back to 4th. Losing at least a couple spots. Edwards had a top 10 too, so good run for him at Martinsville. Rusty Wallace hanging on to the top 10 right now, trying to qualify for the chase in his final season. And I don't think any rookies are in the top 10 right now except for Edwards, who is the points leader. Showing some promise early. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. though, just on the outside looking in. Truex ended up losing 2 spots in points. He was 11th going in, now is 13th. Alright, so on to Texas for the next race. And I am going to refill my water before the start of that race. No practice or qualifying for this one. And I'm going to get the trivia question ready now before I start the race so I don't have to pause it mid-race again. Before I go down and get my water. What? Oh, this is Texas World Speedway. I was... Texas Motor Speedway. You'll hear Bill Weber screaming in the background.
Only the best survive the wild ride in Texas. So strap in and hang on tight, because if you can't keep pace at this track, somebody's going to give you the boot. We're not racing for kicks, we're racing for the win. As EA Sports presents the Samsung Radio Shack 500 at Texas.
And 250 miler. Be on tap for this one. Trying to find a good question. This is actually our only race at Texas on the season, I do believe. No, never mind. This is the first year they started racing at Texas twice. And that would make sense because Rockingham is not on the schedule anymore, and I think that took the date of the lone Rockingham date. Just think about that. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. We lost one and final North Wilkesboro date for Texas in the 90s. And then we lost another date to add another Texas race because of losing Rockingham in the 2000s. Those are the 2 tracks we lost, virtue of Texas Motor Speedway, and we look at what Texas is today. Sure, I get the setup going right. I don't know what to do setup-wise here. Haven't raced in any of the series at Texas on NASCAR 06. It's going to be edgy. I don't want to put too much wedge into it, though. But I'm going to have to because it's gonna get edgy. I'll just put one round in. Keep the air pressure the way it is. And a lot of downforce. I'm just guessing right now. Absolutely guessing for setup. At least with Martinsville, I ran the truck race there last night, so I had a little bit of an idea of what to do setup-wise. It'll work because Dale Jr. was fast. Wow. Alright, I guess that'll be the trivia question. I have it for the midway point now. Dare I say Brad K may win. He raced at Gateway in the Nationwide Series, so you never know. That is true. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick's got some laps here, I'm sure, back in those days. Carl Edwards. Well, Edwards isn't in the field anymore. I was thinking of that just because of this. Alright, let me grab that water real quick, and I'll be right back up and we'll get race 2 underway. Ugh. Cheers to winning race 1 for Dale Jr. Oh my gosh, I just splattered a little bit of water on my keyboard. New. It was a very, very little droplet, but okay, I think we're alright. We're alright. We're alright. Good thing I didn't dump the whole thing. That would have been terrible. Terrible way to start the race. Alright. Jamie McMurray quickest in practice. Is that based off of this on the screen? Truex and Waltrip are towards the back. That scares me a little bit. We'll see what kind of speed the DEI cars have in this race today of the doubleheader as Dale Jr. is going to try to go for the sweep. Green flag is in the air. I meant to change the paint scheme, but we are underway at Texas. Dale Jr. is just going to sit at the back for the start and really try to feel this race car out in the early going. And I don't think you can blame him for that. The problem is it's only a 250-mile race. Of course, in traffic, this car. going to be pretty tight as well. Double wide all the way through the pack, it seems like still. Jeff Gordon will lead lap 1 after finishing second in the first race today at Martinsville. If we just had a big wreck off the exit of one of these corners, Dale Jr.'s not going to have anywhere to go riding at the back of the pack. Car feels like it has speed. It's going to back off early, though, into turn 1. A little bit of a stack up in the middle of the corner. He backed out of the gas to let everybody go in front of him and still got to the outside of Loeffler. That's how much of a backup there was in the middle of the corner. And that's going to allow Dale Jr. to get underneath Loeffler into turn 3. And he'll make the clean pass for 42nd. Well, he's gotten past one car, 41 still to go. Oh, car in the wall! Goodness gracious. Joe Nemechek threw a terrible block on Kenny Wallace. That's 2 more spots for Dale Jr. I thought there was going to be a massive crash right in front of the 8 car. I just mentioned the last lap that if there was going to be a wreck in front of him off the exit of one of these corners, he was going to have nowhere to go. That could have been it. He is in the danger zone right now. And drives to the inside of Wimmer. Oh, clipped the apron in turns 1 and 2. First time he's done that. He's going to go way up the racetrack now off the exit of turn 2. Nobody's going to get around him, but he did not gain that spot on Wimmer, and I think he would have had a great shot to pass him, the positioning he had on him. Otherwise, into the corner. Wimmer's going to go to the inside, though. 3 wide off the exit of turn 4. Cars to the outside. In the wall goes the 43 of Jeff Green and the 9 of Casey Kane. Jr. to the bottom. Allows for 2 more passes for Dale Jr. and Scott Wimmer for that matter. Jr. to the inside of Wimmer off turn 2. Racing like it's the last lap on lap 5. I know, this is insane. And the fact that they're outside the top 30 as well. I mean, that's a sense of urgency, though. Shorter race. Everybody's trying to get going. Tony Stewart's thinking about taking it 3 wide. Junior's got a massive run on the front stretch. Gonna let Stewart go into turns 1 and 2. Michael Waltrip stuck on the outside lane right now. Riggs, who just had a top 10 at Martinsville, still on the outside. Junior underneath Stewart and Waltrip. 3 wide. Still 3 wide into turn 3. Little contact. Luckily, it was 2 by 2. Junior just clipped the apron. He's going to wash up the track a bit more. Into the 107. Minor mistake a couple times there for Dale Jr., and he is very fortunate that was not an accident. Gotta stop clipping the apron. This is going to be an edge-of-your-seat entertainment for 250 miles. And yes, entertainment at Texas in the same sentences. Something I never thought I'd hear. This is old Texas, though, so it's a little bit better than what we have now. Plus, it's the Gen 4 cars. Granted, the next-gen cars are pretty good, too, on the intermediates. Jeff Gordon's led the first 8 laps of the race right now at the front of the field. Another stack up. In the middle of turns 1 and 2, Junior got in the back of Tony Stewart. Loosened Stewart up a bit. Junior with the dive to the bottom into 3 and 4. We'll get around him. We'll get underneath the 08 of Shane Meal as well. Junior wants to get through most of these cars before the tires start to wear out later into the run because he knows the handling is likely going to go away as it typically has in the mile and a half this season. 3 wide into 1 and 2 to get around Jeremy Mayfield and Ken Schrader. Oh, trouble nearly off turn 2. Schrader, I think, got a piece of the wall. Ricocheted into... Oh, my goodness. We about had another wreck with the DEI cars. And 3 and 4 between Waltrip and Earnhardt. Pandemonium all over this racetrack right now. I was looking out of the rear view because Kenny Schrader came across the front bumper of Jeremy Mayfield off turn 2. What race in 97 had the most cautions and how many laps? And for how many laps? Oh, that's an interesting question. I'm going to guess Texas just because we're here. And that was the first race at Texas, too, so that was a new track. Might have had a lot of yellows. Things that Waltrip and Earnhardt got together. Truex is on the outside. Not a great start for the DEI cars again. Kind of like at Martinsville. Waltrip didn't end up having a good run, but at least Dale Jr. won the race, and Truex obviously had a decent run, at least finished 13th. Jr. clipped the apron that time, but actually didn't lose control. Very lucky because he was 3 wide under Vickers and Mears and makes the pass on both the young guns. Jr. with a big run into turn 1. On the apron, gets sideways, and he's going to lose a couple spots up the track, almost clipping the 107. Hoo-wee! That's the 3rd time Dale Jr. has clipped the apron. 2nd time that he's gotten sideways because of it. I think strike 3 and he's going to be out in the early going. He's got to be very careful. I want to go back to Martinsville. Well, that was edgier. I forgot after a couple nights of short track racing just how edgy these cars can be on the faster tracks in this game. Bristol had a handful of things in the Busch Series. Didn't get a great finish, ran out of fuel late. Martinsville in the truck in the Cup Series, pretty good. I want to go back to a short track. Junior to the inside of Vickers again. So narrow off the exit of these turns at this track, too. 20 cautions for 132 caution laps at Bristol. That's insane. Earnhardt going to take the risk. 3 wide to the bottom. Gets into the 107 and then into the 14 on the outside. How did they not wreck there? Oh, speaking of wrecking, Labonte's in the wall up ahead. I think he got squeezed by Ryan Newman in the 12. There is a lot of commotion around this place in the middle to the back of the pack right now. Junior with a slide job into 3 and 4 to pull clear on Andretti. Making the clean pass in that corner. And we're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in race 2 of the doubleheader today. Labonte, who brought out the only caution in the last race. Right in front of Dale Jr. Dale Jr. got his first win in his Cup Series career in his rookie season at Texas in 2000. Trying to see if he can get a win here today in this 2005 season. Comes in 5th in points. Closes on Labonte quite a bit through 1 and 2. Going to look to the inside off the exit of the corner. And he is underneath the 44 of Labonte on the backstretch into turn 3. Hits his marks, he'll complete the pass cleanly. Wide in line behind Ryan Newman in the 12. Newman looks to the inside of Casey Mears for the time being. Dale Jr. gonna take it 3 wide to the bottom on the front stretch. Into turn 1. This could get tight. 3 wide. I think Junior's going to have them both clear off the exit of the corner. Well, not Newman, but he did clear Mears, luckily. Otherwise, it might not have made it off the exit of turn 2. Seems like any time we've seen 3 wide, we've seen contact today or a car in the wall. Even the one time that Dale Jr. was 3 wide to the bottom as well. He made contact, and luckily there was nobody who got into the wall when that was the case, and they kept from wrecking. Junior hops out of the gas, got really tight in the middle of the corner behind Kyle Petty. Casey Mears couldn't capitalize and get to the inside. He ended up checking up 2, and that allows Ryan Newman in the 12 to get underneath him into 3. Truex is gaining quite a few spots right now. He was outside the top 25 there for a little bit, and now Dale Jr. working his way up. Big run on the front stretch for Dale Jr. Kyle Petty shuts the door on him in the middle of 1 and 2 with a wide entrance to the corner. Looks like one car is blowing up on the bottom of the track into turns 3 and 4, but is able to get to the apron. Oh, contact! Got a car on the grass on the front stretch. Oh my gosh! Mark Martin. Junior had to go through the grass to miss Martin. Now he clips the apron in 1 and 2. He's all over the place. He's in the wall with Ryan Newman on the outside. Still no caution. Newman still in the wall. Couple of hard hits there for Dale Jr. and Ryan Newman. Junior was trying to regain control after getting into the grass, barely missing Mark Martin on the front stretch, who had a blown engine. Junior just keeps clipping the apron right now. No practice or qualifying is definitely hurting the 8. Sorry, that is Mark Martin in the 6 on the bottom. He missed pit row when he blew an engine going into 3 the last lap. This lap, he should be able to make it into the pits. Dale Jr. on the inside of Jimmy Spencer. In the 50, he'll make the pass for 26th. Making the clean pass through 1 and 2 on Terry Labonte. Big run down the backstretch as he got through that set of corners really well. Dives to the inside of Casey Kane into turns 3 and 4. Stewart washes up the track off the exit of turn 4. Dale Jr. to the inside of him. Side by side into turns 1 and 2. Jr. again to the bottom of the track. Clips the apron, clips the white line. Up the hill he goes. Casey Kane going to get around him as well as Tony Stewart. That was a big mistake from Dale Jr. Halfway on fuel now, lap 27. Definitely going to want to go as far as you can on a full tank of fuel, if at all possible, here today at Texas. Still caution free in the early going of the Samsung Radio Shack 250. Junior looks low underneath Kane. A big run off the exit of turn 2. Dove to the bottom. Gonna make the pass on Kane cleanly through 3 and 4. How about Boris said running 23rd? Not. I was thinking I was much higher in the running order before I went to say that. 23rd's like, all right, whatever. If I'm saying that about Boris said on an oval, I think that's saying something. Tony Stewart looking underneath him. Stewart blocks Earnhardt into the corner. Junior gonna follow Stewart. Back on the far chase cam for now. Junior side draft Stewart. He got to the inside of him on the front stretch. Oh, Tony clipped the side of the 8. Big save by Dale Earnhardt Jr. That contact was not his fault. Tony Stewart moved right into the side of him. Had to have known they were side by side. I don't know why he jumped down the track that frantically into the side of the 8. 3 stops from what you can see. About every 54 laps. It could be 2 stops borderline. Could have a fuel mileage race. Gordon won the inaugural race at Texas back in 1997. The same 24 car he leads in today and has led every lap from the pole. Third time, Dale Jr. will make the pass on Casey Kane. Clears him into 3 and 4. Edge of your seat action at Texas through the opening fuel run of the race so far. Oscar Ramirez Herrera, welcome to the stream. He's a Dale Jr. fan. That right rear tire's in the yellow right now for Jr. He's had a couple of loose moments already in this one, and he's definitely burning the rear tires off the race car as a result. He's stuck mid-pack. Back at 24th after starting last without any practice or qualifying. And there are some fast competitive cars back here like Tony Stewart outside the top 20. Junior looking low. Underneath the 36 of Boris Said. Clip the apron again, gets a bit loose. Stays underneath Said for now. And to turn 3, Said's going to pull down in front of him. He's going to pass him on the front stretch and have him clear before getting into turns 1 and 2 that time. Jeff Burton won the inaugural. Oh, my bad. Gordon won in 98 then, right? Didn't win it until 2000. Never mind, 2009. Why was I thinking Gordon won the first race here? I might have been thinking of Kansas. Both the rear tires in the yellow for Dale Jr. He's definitely been hanging on for dear life. Good thing I added that extra bit of downforce, because I don't think we would have made it 35 laps into the race without it. I still don't know if we're going to make it all 167, I reckon, but I'll try. Knowing that it's not a 500-mile Texas race, I think I actually have somewhat of a chance. Sterling Marlin on the inside. Tony Stewart. Kyle Petty looking to jump to the inside of the 20 into turns 3 and 4. Dale Jr.'s got a big run behind both of them right now as they run side by side. Jr. right in line behind Petty. Looks to the bottom. Oh, he clipped the apron. He gets into Petty. Oh, Petty is up on his lid. Big crash in turns 1 and 2. Caution flag will wave. He got sandwiched between Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. and he was up on the nose of the race car. It looked like. I don't think he actually flipped. Big hit, and then he came back down onto the left side of the car once he got to the apron on the bottom of the track. Caution is out. Field will be coming in. Only 3 cars involved. Maybe not the big one, but a hard crash nonetheless. Can't pit for fuel or tires because of being involved in the accident. But Junior has over 5 seconds of damage he'd like to repair. Our first caution of the race today. And Matt Kenseth wins the race off pit road. Barely. Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know who all stayed out. Yeah, nobody stayed out because Kenseth is the leader and won the race off pit road. Green flag back in the air. So Jeff Gordon did not win the race out of the pits. He loses a couple spots. Good restart for Dale Jr. Looks to the inside of Kenseth. He's on older tires, though. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on very well. Carl Edwards gets around Dale Jr. on the outside through 1 and 2 to get to second. I think it's Scott Riggs in the 10 car on the bottom of the track. Into turns 3 and 4, Jr. stuck on the outside right now. Carl Edwards challenging Matt Kenseth for the lead. Big block! Kenseth on his teammate Edwards. Kenseth got a piece of the wall. Earnhardt sideways into one, and he was sideways before he clipped the apron. Now he's up into Kurt Busch on the outside and runs him into the wall. And into the inside wall. I think he's all right. No caution. Ay, ay, ay. Is it clear to come up the racetrack now? Not really, but he's going to. Look how many spots Kurt Busch lost in that. Just as many as Dale Jr., and Jr.'s on older tires. Oh, we got another car in the wall. Kyle Busch is in the wall off turn 4. Somebody's down on the apron, and Jr. has nowhere to go but the spin off the contact with the 40 of Marlin. He nearly goes up and over. Got drilled. And we have another caution. One car got ricocheted and slapped into the wall on the outside. I think Riggs and Seth had the same paint scheme. I don't think it was Seth because he was back where we were under the pit stop. We have more and more wrecks here. Junior's going to go to the back. He still can't pit for fuel or tires being involved in the accident, but he will gladly just let everybody else get in front of him. Our second caution of the race today. Back to back. I don't know if I'm ever going to win at an intermediate track on this game. I mean, it's going to be a miracle the day I do. Okay, never mind. I guess I did win at Fontana on fuel mileage in the second Cup race. On non-fuel mileage, though, it's going to be something. Cautions are just coming out one after another. Well, it was only 2. And, I mean, these guys are, like, trying to wreck almost every restart anyway. Green flag back in the air at lap 47. That all started because Kyle Busch got in the wall. I think Bobby Labonte was down on the bottom of the racetrack. And turn 1, Junior went to the apron, so he had nowhere else to go, and kind of got squeezed there by Sterling Marlin. That's what caused that wreck. Quarter tank of gas left for Dale Jr. right now. A little less than that. We get another wreck so he can pit under caution. That would be ideal. Wonder if we might get any debris yellows as well. He does not want to have to make a green flag stop. We've seen some cars hit pretty hard, like Kyle Petty and a couple others during the first 2 cautions. I wouldn't doubt that we could see any debris yellows. About an 1/8 of a tank left for Dale Jr. He's definitely going to stay out as long as he can. He's not going to try to pass anybody else in front of him. I don't know if he has the speed to get up there and do it regardless because of the older tires. They usually say with the dual races at Daytona during speed weeks that one race is wild and the other race is kind of a bit more tame. And I think you could say the same tonight for the Martinsville and Texas doubleheader on NASCAR 6. That one race was going to be tame and one was going to be wild. This is the wild one. Martinsville was tame considering we had only 1 yellow and 250 laps there. And in the first 50 here, we've had 2 at Texas. And we've seen almost a lot more crashes outside of just the 2 cautions we've had. With a lot of dirty air right in front of him, but he's kind of holding his own for right now at the back of the pack. Way up the track. John Andretti missed his marks too. Jeff Gordon's found his way back in the lead though. Lost the lead during pit stops. He's gotten it back. Only car out of the race is Mark Martin. We saw him blow an engine earlier. Dale Jr. nearly spins off of turn 4. I don't know how much further Dale Jr. can go on fuel. He's going to pit at lap 54. So he'll stay out this time, but Dale Jr. will pit the next time at lap 54. Don't think I'm done with cautions. I don't think so either. Not the way this race has gone. McKenzie even squeezed Edwards into the wall for the lead on the restart, too. Those guys are teammates. So, 2 cautions. Saved Junior about 6 laps worth of fuel under the yellow. He's going to pit this time at lap 54. And he'll gladly take 4 fresh Goodyears. He's going to back this corner way up because he knows he's going to get to the apron. He does not want to spin out. Damn, we're in. I almost overcorrected it. 4 tires and fuel. Gonna drop the air pressure 1 pound. Try to help tighten it up just a bit. It was fine in the first half of the run. Second half of the run, it just got mad loose, which I kind of figured would be the case. And I tried to set up for it, but without any practice, it just made trying to call the setup a little bit harder. But yeah, I did see Buescher was out with COVID-19. Somebody mentioned it in the first race of the doubleheader tonight. A couple people did. Water didn't spill, you'd be leading. No, I didn't spill my water. I almost spilled it, though. Well, Dale Jr. is the only car 1 lap down, so if we do get a caution, he should get the free pass. Although, I can't remember if the free pass works in this game. I know the green-white checker doesn't. Carl Edwards going to take his first lead of the race. See if he can get 5 bonus points for leading the lap. Probably not, but we'll see. Oh boy, Mark Martin's coming back out here as if we didn't have enough yellows already. The only driver out of the race is looking like he is going to come back into the race. Junior on a little bit fresher tires than everybody else right now. Take our first field pass of the race today at the start-finish line. We'll see what Michael Waltrip's up to. He's in 28th right now. Right in the eye of the storm. Just clip the apron in 3 and 4. He's going to be in the wall. Off the exit of it. Lost a couple spots as a result. Now he's back to 30th. Gets back around Leffler, though, in 3 and 4 the following lap. I'd say Waltrip's car feels a little edgier than Dale Jr.'s. Probably why he is back this far in the field. Waltrip trying to get around his own race car right now. Kenny Wallace in the 00 for MWR. Well, seems like he's blocking his owner quite a bit, though, right now. Jeff Green going up the track just a bit, trying to get around Jimmy Johnson, the 48. Johnson also outside the top 25, not off to a good start today. Waltrip looks to the bottom. Waltrip's going to back out into turn 3 as Kenny Wallace just made contact with his team owner that time. Kenny Wallace going to get a deduction from his salary. Throws another block like that on his owner. And now Wallace making contact with the 43 of Jeff Green in a danger spot in the middle of 1 and 2. Now Green throws a block on him going into turn 3. And now they both go up the track a bit. Waltrip gets around set through 3 and 4. Looks to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. We'll take a look at what Martin Truex Jr. is doing a little bit further up in the running order. Truex is in 12th. Decent run right now. Kyle Busch looking low, but couldn't quite get to the inside of the one that time. Oh, Labonte's in the wall on the front stretch. He went a bit wide off the exit of turn 4. Jamie McMurray closing in. He was one of the faster cars in practice, from what we saw on the leaderboard at least. Truex with a run on McMurray. McMurray going low to block. McMurray sends it into turns 3 and 4. Can't quite get around Labonte that time. Like McMurray bottomed out a little bit. I don't think he got into the 18. McMurray looking low. Now he is underneath Bobby Labonte. Truex gets tight in the dirty air behind the 42. Looks low. 3 wide now in the back straightaway as they head for turn 3. 3 wide battle for 10th. Truex going to get around the 18 and the 42. Completes the pass and cleanly done by Martin Truex Jr., the rookie, looking like a veteran out here at a fast Texas Motor Speedway. Truex trying to get around the 41 of Casey Mears. Mears inside the top 10 early. Oh, a little contact. Mears trying to block Truex off the exit of turn 4. Dangerous move by Casey. Going to cost himself the 9th place position, and actually Mears loses out on a top 10 running spot as he lost about 3 or 4 spots on the front stretch. Carl Edwards, though, is the one out in front. Go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8. Again, he already pitted, under green flag conditions at least. So we'll take control with Dale Jr. now at lap 70. Now, lap 71, considering Jr. is a lap down. Junior could not pit during the first 2 cautions of the race. Everybody pitted during the first yellow. And the reason why is because he was involved in both of them. So he couldn't take the unfair advantage, so he had to pit during green flag conditions, which is why he is 42nd, 1 lap down. 1 car out of the race is Mark Martin in the 6. Crew chief said he was going to come back out onto the racetrack, but that has not been the case, at least to this point. He's still on pit road, it looks like. We'll just say he stalled out and just couldn't make it all the way onto the track. Truex, or I should say Dale Jr. is fine with being off strategy if he was on the lead lap. But again, that's a result of being involved in those cautions. He did win the first race today at Martinsville, getting his second win of the season, led 128 of the 250 laps. Still have one more 50% race on the Cup Series season left to the end of the year yet. RFK go to the playoffs? I don't think so at this point. I don't think I predicted either one of those two cars to go to the playoffs in my preseason predictions. Championship the race the last 50. No. I'm not sure. I'm thinking one of the Pocono races are likely going to be 50%. I'm not sure which one exactly yet, but that'll likely be the last 50% race. One of the two Pocono events. We'll have a 250-mile race at Pocono, and then we'll have a 500-mile race there. So they're not both 500. Junior at least running well by himself right now, and on a little bit fresher tires, he's able to make up a bit of time. Clean air. Gonna obviously help the 8 as well. We have just less than 100 laps to go in this race. Again, only half the race length. A lot of sense of urgency, and that's also the dangerous part of not being able to pit during those two cautions. You don't have the full 500 miles to try and play catch-up. At the time of him wrecking, you really only had about 200 miles to try and play catch-up with. I should say being involved in the wreck. He is actually fortunate he did not have a whole lot of damage on the car. During both accidents, it looked like he was going to have quite a bit. He's definitely holding the wheel a lot steadier now, though. I think he's starting to realize, wait, I won here my rookie year. I know how to drive this racetrack, and he's trying to hone it all in now. Edwards leads. He won on a 1.5 miles at Las Vegas earlier this season. It was actually the first of what is now 3.5 miles races this year. So trying to win the first and third 1.5 mile tracks could be Edwards' bread and butter on this rookie season. Junior right in line behind Shane Meal in the 08. Checked up quite a bit through 1 and 2 to keep it off the back of the 08 car, and he'll drive underneath him now in the backstretch into turn 3. And he'll make the easy pass. And not for position. Dale Jr. is a lap down, 80 laps in. Where's the caution? Not sure yet. I still think we will get one before the end of the race. The way the racing has been so far today, I doubt we're going to go all the way to the end caution free. Although I thought that about Atlanta and went nearly half the race caution-free to the end there. Despite having, what, like 5 or 6 of them in the first half of the event. That was a big move by Ken Schrader. Barely clearing the 107 car, going off into turn 3. Gets to the inside of Terry Labonte, and the 107 going to follow him by as well. Junior with the fresher tires closing in on these guys. This trio. Labonte back to the inside of the 107. Well, halfway on fuel for Dale Jr. Again, he can't go he can go a lot further than these other cars. And Wimmer gonna, pit that time! Terry Labonte checked up off turn 4, he had to lift. Junior got it in the back of him, and I don't know how they didn't wreck there. Had wreck written all over it. So now is when we are going to have some cars pit. Edwards is in from the lead. Junior on the inside of Terry Labonte. The car's peeling onto pit road off turn 4. Schrader from behind just pit. Michael Waltrip's on pit road. Junior clears Labonte on the front stretch. Dale Jr. really needs this to cycle all the way through without seeing a yellow. Gordon back in the lead temporarily. Michael Waltrip on the bottom of the track, getting up to speed. Time for the trivia question in our Texas race tonight. Last year's race at Texas Motor Speedway, the only points-paying race in the fall, had the least amount of lead changes in a cup race in history at Texas Motor Speedway. How many lead changes were in last year's cup race at Texas? So that is the question to tonight's trivia. Our Texas track fact, how many lead changes were in the Texas Cup race last year? Points race. You guys get one guess in the chat. Each person gets one guess. And if I see it answered correctly, I will let you know who answered it correctly. And again, it has to be on your first try. I see 5, I see 7. Joe Nemechek getting up to speed down on the bottom of the track. That's going to shuffle Dale Jr. out of line to the top. He was stuck on the outside of Nemechek. Has to let Rusty Wallace get on by off the exit of turn 4 to keep Jr. from wrecking. He did not want to be on the outside off the exit of turn 4. He's gaining some positions back middle of the pack. And he is on the lead lap, about 10 seconds off the lead. Big hop by Marlin coming off the pit road down on the apron. Junior's in 24th. Looks like Michael Waltrip's gained quite a bit of time off of the pits as well. Carlos Alvarez, welcome to the stream. I've not seen the right answer yet. Give you guys the answer to that question at lap 95. If you do not answer it correctly before then, and haven't seen it yet. Again, only get one try. Because I feel like you can just guess a bunch of numbers and you're going to get it right eventually. So, just one try with this trivia question for our Texas track fact. Bill Jr. makes a pass on Joe Nemechek for position. He's on the inside of Rusty Wallace in the 2 as well. a great corner by Dale Jr. that time. He's on a little bit older tires than the cars he's trying to pass for the time being. Junior's making moves. Up to 22nd. Trying to come back. And we only get one guess. Davion answering again. It was not 14th. About a lap and a half to try and answer that trivia question. Dale Jr. trying to get around Michael Waltrip in the 15 right now. He's just not able to do it. Underneath Waltrip. Into turns 1 and 2. Junior drives it in deep. Danny Williams says 11. Welcome to the stream, Danny. And nope, that is not the answer. Waltrip just bounced off the wall off turn 2. 0 just for that. It is not 0. Larson did not lead every lap. Alright, rear tires wearing out on Dale Jr.'s race car. It's about that point in the run where he's going to start getting a bit looser now. Caution comes out here, it would help. Yes, it would. Get Junior right back up to about mid-pack, which is where he was running at the time of the first caution earlier. I did not see the right answer in the trivia, at least on the first try. The answer was 8. Davion West got it in his second try, so I guess I'll give him partial credit. I know he went against the rules, but because nobody else got it right, I'll give him a half a point for that. But 8 was the amount of lead changes in the Texas race last year. It was the least amount of lead changes in a Cup Series points race in Texas Motor Speedway history. Yeah, 550 package with Texas, 8 lead changes. And that's at a 500-mile race, too. That's not a 400-miler. Dale Jr.'s got to like where he's running right now, inside the top 20. Just needs a caution to try and set the field back through again. Both the rear tires in the yellow now. Off by 1 on the lead change, yep. Yeah, there were definitely a lot of close ones. R6, welcome into the stream. Junior had that car really yawed out off the exit of turn 4. 100 laps in, 67 laps to go this time by at the Texas Motor Speedway in race 2 of the doubleheader. Dale Jr. trying to go for the sweep, but he's got his work cut out for him. He's not led a lap yet today. Currently working on Jamie McMurray for 19th. McMurray with a block getting into turns 3 and 4. Going to be able to hold on in front of Dale Jr. for now. Jr. with a pretty good corner exit off turn 4. He's battling loose conditions. He's on much older tires than the rest of the field right now, but he's hanging on well, at least for the time being. Really close to the white line down on the bottom of the track. McMurray in the wall, potentially off the exit of turn 2. He was really close, but Dale Jr. clears him with the clean pass that time. And he's up to 19th. Jr. trying to take this run as far as he can before he has to pit. 54 laps earlier. Goes 54 again. Will likely end up hitting about lap 108. And he can see the top 10 from where he is at, and he's only 9 seconds off the lead. Right front tire wearing out a little bit more as well on Dale Jr. Stuck in the dirty air and dirty traffic behind Casey Kane in the 9, who also qualified towards the back. He's slowly moving himself forward. Can this be a one-stop race to the end for Jr.? I don't think so. The rest of the field probably going to be able to make it on one stop with pitting during that caution earlier. Junior's definitely going to need a caution to get back into this race. And before he pits, either before he pits or after everybody else pits again. Preferably now. Looking low underneath Kane, not a lot of room. Casey Kane's really squeezing the 8 of Earnhardt. The ability with a loose race car to not overcorrect it off the exit of these corners at these high-rated speeds is actually pretty incredible. If there was a camera on my left thumb where the analog stick is, you guys would be amazed at how much back and forth I'm doing off the exit corner to try to keep the car as straight as possible. Not something you want to be doing on asphalt, especially, and at these high-rated speeds at a fast mile-and-a-half like Texas Motor Speedway, but that is the case and what Dale Jr. is dealing with right now. Travis Quaffle stuck on the outside. He had a 6th place finish at Martinsville earlier today. Casey Mears underneath him. Now Casey Kane also gonna get underneath him. Junior hooks 1 and 2 perfectly. He'll get underneath the 77 of Quaffle. Mears to the inside of his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Dale Jr.'s teammate, that is. Junior gonna pit next time by at lap 107. So he's not going to pit at lap 108, but he'll pit at lap 107. Big run under Truex into 1 and 2. How about Dale Jr. up to 17th in the running order? On older tires, he's still actually making up some good ground right now. He's going to be pitting, though, this time off turn 4. He's going to slow up his teammate behind him, but he just really did not want to spin out on the apron coming into the pits. Great job. 4 tires and fuel coming up for Dale Jr. No adjustments as he was able to hold on to the car during that run. Clean stop is the hope. And hopefully we get a caution before the end of this race, but it has to be after everybody else cycles through their 3rd stop. This is Dale Jr.'s 2nd stop. I won at Martinsville, actually. R6. Moved up to 5th in points. I'm surprised nobody got the trivia question right, though. Both trivia questions tonight. Ooh, Junior. Almost got ran over by Jeff Burton. So now Dale Jr.'s got 4 fresh Goodyears and he needs to go to work now. Trying to make up as much time as possible. Clean stop. Questions was how many lead changes were in the Texas Cup race last season? And then who... I should say, what year were the most caution laps ran during the Coke 600, which the answer was 1968. And then the lead change answer was 8 lead changes last year in the Cup race at Texas. Dale Jr. is only about 6 to 7 laps short on fuel to the end. Not going to be able to save it with the accelerated fuel tank. Running fuel a little bit quicker in general on a normal run, but he could stretch this race pretty far out. It's around Kyle Busch cleanly through 1 and 2. Right in line behind the 31 of Robbie Gordon right now. Gordon with a big block, though, into turns 3 and 4. Dale Jr. trying to get around Robbie Gordon. Gordon is not making it easy for him. Jr. getting gutsy down on that white line. Doing everything he can to get around Jeff Burton, who is really holding him up right now. I don't think Junior was quite as edgy that last run, too, because of the air pressure adjustment he made during the first stop of the race. No adjustments during that stop. Dropped the PSI from 25 to 24. Junior cannot get away from the 31 car of Robbie Gordon behind him right now. Would have gotten neither correct. Make it to the end on fuel. No, I'm going to have to pit one more time with about 6 or 7 to go, unfortunately. I don't think Edwards has caught lap traffic yet, and if the free pass isn't completely broken in this game, Dale Jr. should get his lap back. So he can just pit with everybody else. Dale Jr. just made another pass somewhere on the racetrack. I'm not sure on who. Somebody else might have just blown an engine. This race almost has the Busch Series Bristol written all over it. The way the strategy might play out with the way the cautions played early in this race. This one, though, we know Dale Jr. short on fuel to the end. Bristol, we didn't know that. So he ran out with about 4 to go. 6 laps at Texas versus 4 laps at Bristol is a big difference in mileage on fuel. To alternate through the different camera angles one final time in this second race of the doubleheader tonight. Cars are on pit road as we speak. A lot of cars are in the pits, in fact. See high up in the running order, Dale Jr. will be running off turn 4 this time. Likely going to have some traffic cycling out of the pits on the bottom. See, he is getting around him at full speed into turns 1 and 2. No pressure directly behind him, and a lot of clean air still in front of him as well. Definitely not going to be in the free pass position anymore, though, even if we did get a yellow. As of right now. Until everybody pits and he cycles back onto the lead lap. Can anybody dethrone Carl Edwards, or is he going to win his second Cup Series race of the year, both on 1.5 miles? 29.529 that last lap for Dale Jr. That was blistering fast. He's definitely got the car handling the way he wants to right now, but it's just maybe a little late in this race. In the full 500 miles, I don't think he'd be worried at all right now with the way things are running. Championship race is 100%. The only other 50% race left for the Cup Series is going to be one of the 2 Pocono races. It'll be the 4th and final one. That'll be middle of the regular season. Probably towards the second half, early second half of the regular season. Rudd looking to get back around the 0-0. Joe Nemechek on the outside. Brian Vickers underneath him through 3 and 4. Junior all over the back of these guys into turns 1 and 2. Good run off the exit of turn 2. Going to go to the inside. 3 wide into turn 3. It looks like he'll make the pass. One of those passes were for position somewhere in there on somebody who cycled off the pit road. Closes on the 25 car of Brian Vickers through 1 and 2 as well. No, they're both 500-mile races, so it'd be a 250-miler and then a 500-mile race at Pocono. Vickers is squeezing Dale Jr. right now. More of the leaders are on their way into the pits this time. Edwards just pitted from the lead that last time. Michael Waltrip is on pit road. Junior get a clear. Vickers with a slide job through 3 and 4. Now for position. Vickers still on the lead lap yet. Has to pit. Just cycling off of pit road right now. Wonder if Martin Church Jr. is back inside the top 10. He's in 9th the last we left him. That was before the 2 cautions we had earlier in the race. Still have one more field pass to get through tonight in the final 37 laps. We'll go back to the far chase cam to the end of the race. Junior was in 17th before he made his last stop, so I'm just wondering where he's going to cycle out on fuel compared to everybody else. About 34 laps to go now. Dale Jr. would have to go 60 laps on fuel to make it to the end of this race. He's halfway on fuel with 34 to go. Gordon's still out on the racetrack, still in the lead. Martin Truex Jr. looks like he is going to be pitting. Or is either already, it probably is already on pit road. Jr. right in line behind Sterling Marlin in the 40 car. Looking to make the pass on the Silver Bullet. Big block on the back straightaway for Marlin on Earnhardt. Earnhardt tries the back turns 3 and 4 up just a little bit more. Trying to find a way underneath Marlin. Off turn 4, lower exit than the 40 car, but still can't get around him. A little bit of a mistake on the front stretch there. That's not going to help. There's Truex. Yeah, he's well outside the top 10 then. Dale Jr. in 18th. So Bobby Labonte going to pit from the lead. Gordon pit from the lead a couple laps ago. Dale Jr. on the inside of Sterling Marlin. Casey Kane coming out of the pits. Pass on Marlin was not for position. Sterling hasn't pit yet. Junior with a big slide off the exit of turn 2. Had the left side tires down on the apron off the exit of the corner, or at least on the white line. It's going to weaken those rear tires out just a little bit more again. Marlin on his way into the pits from the lead as he was able to get 5 bonus points. And now Kenny Wallace going to get 5 bonus points leading his first lap of the race. Staying out a bit longer than everybody else. Dale Jr. get a caution so he could at least pit during the yellow flag and have a shot to get some of these positions back. Now would be the best time because there are a lot of cars lapped down with Wallace still on the track, but Jr. is on the lead lap. And that is not the case because now Kenny Wallace will pit. Again, Jr. can go to about 6 to 7 to go. He is definitely going to go as far as he can. And it will be a fuel-only stop once he does pit. Closing in on Ryan Newman in the 12. Newman's upset with Dale Jr. right now, so Jr. better be careful trying to get around the 12. Both the rear tires in the yellow for Dale Jr. as of this point in the run also. Still don't think Mark Martin ever cycled off of pit road. Carl Edwards has cycled back to the lead following green flag pit stops. How about Dale Jr. in 14th? Only he was on the same strategy. Slowly, methodically working his way through this field right now. And he's hit the roadblock, Ryan Newman. Newman is definitely not going to make the pass easy for Dale Jr. Junior with a great exit to turn 4. Just can't get underneath the 12 yet. You know Newman is going to try to take a swing at him, you would have to imagine. Into turns 1 and 2, side by side. Nope, never mind. Junior may have tagged the wall on the outside. That was really close. Caution's out. 3rd time today. Screw it, I'm going to pit. I think I saved it. I might have grazed the wall on the outside. I might have saved it, though. It was close. Well, I guess it's... Everybody cycled through pit stops, so I don't think it's going to cycle anybody a lap down. Juniors end up pitting here. So, 4 tires and fuel for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Why not just put the pound of air pressure back into the car to try and loosen it up a little bit. Newman just did not give Dale Jr. a lot of room there on the bottom of the track, nor did I think he was going to with them being a rival. About to find out how many cars are going to be on the lead lap, because Dale Jr. will be the only one on pit road making his 3rd and final stop of the day. Seen some crazy restarts today at Texas. I don't think they're done yet. Boris said just got the free pass during the caution. And we'll head to the restart. Very few cars are on the inside lineup there. Dale Jr. will restart 31st, so he's going to lose about 15 positions because of the spin, unfortunately. Green flag is back in the air with 23 laps to go at the Texas Motor Speedway. That's not the way I wanted the caution, but feel a little guilty. Mostly saved it. I didn't think I was going to have any chance of saving it the way the car went back up the banking, but it whipped right back around pretty quickly. Junior's car is going to be right back to edgy again, putting that pound of air pressure he had in it at the very beginning of the day, but he's hoping, because he only has to go about 23 laps, that should make it. They are 3 wide off the exit of turn 2 up ahead. Oh, and they're wrecking! Big wreck on the backstretch. Leffler's in the inside wall, and he's going to stay down there. Caution's out again. And Dale Jr.'s got some damage on his nose. I saw they were 3 wide, and I didn't think they were stacking up until they got to the back straightaway, and it was a little late for Jr. to pull out of the throttle. He turns Leffler at the back of the pack. Leffler slams the inside wall. No safer barrier down there. He hit driver's side door first. And cautions are now going to likely start to breed more cautions. Jr. going to come down to repair damage, because he's probably got a hole in the radiator. He hit Leffler pretty hard. Man, oh man, oh man. If he could have dodged that to the inside, he could have picked up a bunch of positions. The problem is, though, is I don't think he was going to make it into turn 3 going to the bottom like that, but they're already 3 by 3. And everybody is going to be good on fuel and tires to the end of the race. No green-white checkers here, so if caution comes out late enough, the race will end. Yeah, Junior probably going to lose only about a spot or 2. Seems to be taking off well on the restarts compared to other tracks this season. So he's got that going for him. Green flag back in the air. He lost 1 spot. And Jimmy Spencer in the 50 got the free pass that time during the caution, as the green flag is back in the air. Jacob Givens, welcome to the stream. Actually won Martinsville, Jacob. And we'll see how this will go. We had a restart. They had a caution a few laps after it the last time. This one, 18 laps to go. 18 to go at Texas. And we still have to take our final field pass of the race yet. We'll do that at the start-finish line next time by. We'll take a look at where Martin Truex Jr. and Michael Waltrip are running in the field. 4 cautions so far in this second race at the Texas Motor Speedway today. Closer or blowout? I think I won by about 2.5 seconds over Jeff Gordon. Then Elliott Sadler finished third. Led the most laps. Led 128 of the 250 laps. Yep, they're wrecking again off turn 4. Junior just got into the back of Jeff Green. Ryan Newman's in the wall on the outside. Contact with his teammate Rusty Wallace. Junior is on the bottom trying to get out of harm's way. He slides into Jamie McMurray rather. And Kyle Busch. Ay. Junior's up to 24th. Alright, well, we'll fast forward to the front of the field this time, and we'll see where Michael Waltrip is running. He is in 16th. So Michael Waltrip in the 16th place position right now. Trying to hang on his teammate Martin Truex Jr. for the time being. Truex drives it in deep, and the DEI cars are side by side off the exit of turn 4. Oh, big block! That was not intentional. No caution. Truex is in the wall. He's going to lose a bunch of spots. More pandemonium following a late race restart at Texas. Carl Edwards leads this race. Through the 2 restarts, he still hangs on. But can he hang on for the final 13 laps yet? Truex lost at least a few spots. We're going to swap the Truex in the field. Is there a chance Michael Waltrip can get his first top 10 of the season? Just less than 4 seconds off the lead. Remember, a lot of lap cars are in the mix up here. And still are kind of clogging the bottom lane with faster cars on the outside. That's holding up some traffic for Waltrip to try and catch up. Waltrip down low. Into turns 3 and 4. Looking to make the pass. Gets around the 107 car. Not for position, though. Three wide on the front stretch right now. And here is Martin Truex Jr. in the 1. In 22nd. Dale Jr. moving his way through the field a bit more. Truex underneath Jamie Mack. Makes the pass for 21st. Junior going a bit wide in line behind Ryan Newman. Dale Jr. on the inside off the exit of the corner. Newman is up in the wall. Newman got in the wall off turn 4, stacking the field up. It's the second time he's gotten in the wall in recent laps. Truex with a great corner off the exit of turn 2. He's going to get around Rusty Wallace for 20th. He's going to try to stay in line behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. That field is stacking up a little bit further up. I almost wonder if there was more contact back there. Truex down underneath Dale Jr. He'll drive it in deep into turn 3 to get to the inside of Ryan Newman. Truex trying to go up the track maybe just a bit and use up Newman in the 12. Not going to make contact with him. This is all in the hopes of hopefully getting Dale Jr. by. We'll go back to Dale Jr. after this lap. Truex going to go up in front of the 12. He's going to park it, let Dale Jr. go. A little bit of teamwork. Truex side drafts McMurray off the exit of the corner. He's going to be on the outside into turns 3 and 4, trying to hang on with Dale Jr. right in front of him. Contact between McMurray and Truex. Truex is going to go around down on the bottom of the track. He saves it on the apron, our 5th yellow of the race. We're going to have another restart. That did not work. Just crowded McMurray a bit too much, and that led to the spin. Luckily, nobody else was involved. Truex got back onto the track safely. I don't know how many laps we're going to have left on the restart, but I'd imagine we're probably not going to have too many more left in this race. And another restart. Carl Edwards is going to have to survive. Less than 10 to go, so all the lap cars will be behind the lead lap cars. Green flag back in the air at Texas. 3 laps to go. And we'll swap to Dale Jr. when we get to 2 to go. McMurray maybe not a little happy right now with Jamie McMurray. Oh, contact between Kyle Busch and Sterling Marlin down the back straightaway as Busch threw a big block on Marlin. Maybe a little bit of a rookie mistake. We'll be coming to 2 to go this time by. All the DEI cars right under a blanket. If we get to the final lap, a caution cannot come out. Look at Dale Jr. underneath his teammate Michael Waltrip right now into turns 3 and 4. We get to the white flag. Next one will be the checker. Earnhardt gonna go way down low, 3 wide into turn 1. Gets around Kyle Busch, trying to get around Elliott Sadler. Sadler trying to side draft Earnhardt as Earnhardt gets away on the backstretch. Carl Edwards, though, at the front of the field, leads into 3. The rookie is about to get his 2nd win in the first 7 races of his rookie season. Off of turn 4, the checkered flag waves. Carl Edwards will win at Texas. 14th for Dale Jr. Not bad, but not great either. But Carl Edwards is going to win his 2nd race of the season. In the first 7 races, the points leader and the rookie going to victory lane today. I'll get to fire off the pistols in victory lane as well. Part of the Texas tradition if you win at the Texas Motor Speedway. 5 cautions for 15 caution laps, 12 lead changes today. A 1/10 of a second was a margin of victory on that green-white checker finish at the end. 143.01 miles per hour was the average speed, and 1 hour 45 minutes and 5 seconds was the total race length for this 250 miler today. So Carl Edwards from 12th place gets the win. Gordon, who started on the pole, led 55 laps, finishes 2nd. Max points day for Edwards, too, on top of the win, leading 95 laps, which was the most as well, getting the win. Tony Stewart finishes 3rd, 4th top 10 of the year for Mike Bliss, and his 2nd top 5 with the 4th place run. Great for him. Bobby Labonte led 1 lap during green flag pit stops. He finishes 5th. Kurt Busch ends up finishing in 6th place, leading 2 laps. Jimmy Johnson finishes 7th. Greg Biffle 8th. Biffle led 1 lap. Dale Jarrett, no laps led, finished 9th. And Matt Kenseth led 11 laps, rounding out the top 10. Dale Jr. 14th, highest of the DEI cars. Waltrip in 18th. Truex in 17th. And we had a total of 33 cars finish on the lead lap. Mark Martin, Casey Mears were the only 2 drivers to DNF today with engine failures during the 5 caution flags. We'll check out the points before we end the stream tonight following the doubleheader. I see the alert on my phone about Busher being out for Gateway now. Mainly because I didn't check earlier. Next race will be the Subway Fresh 500 at Phoenix. That will be a 100% race length. So going to Phoenix for the first of 2 times. See, now Phoenix has 2 dates in the prior NASCAR EA games that we've played on 05 and 04 that they only had 1 date at Phoenix. So we will get 2 this season. Nope, not going to do that yet. And we'll check out the standings. So again, Carl Edwards came in with the points lead. He gets a max points day. He'll extend the lead now to 39 points over Tony Stewart. Dale Jr. came in 5th in points, but a 14th place finish will drop him 2 spots in the standings to 7th. Still inside the top 10. Again, the top 10 qualify for the chase. He's trying to catch Edwards for that regular season championship. It's going to be tough, though. Edwards looking very strong on the mile and a half. So Dale Jr. not looking so strong on the mile and a half, but he does finish 14th. Not great, but not bad either. And Martin Truex Jr., 13th in points. Still, he didn't gain or lose spots after that race, despite not a great finish. And Michael Waltrip gains actually 2 spots in points, up to 23rd, despite finishing in 18th. But I guess when you're 25th in points, if you end up finishing 18th, I guess he could gain points out of it, and he did. On the drivers around him, at least. And we'll see if all 3 DI cars can make it into the chase. It's looking tough that Waltrip can make it, but I say Truex and Earnhardt definitely have a good shot still. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We'll be on the channel again tomorrow night. Likely going to be racing on NASCAR 21 Ignition, I do believe. Let me check out the streaming schedule for this week. I could be wrong on that. Let me check. Streaming schedule for this week. No, sorry, Busch Series race tomorrow. So we'll be Busch Series racing on NASCAR 06 again tomorrow at the Texas Motor Speedway, and our race will start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be racing. And it'll be at Texas once again for the Busch Series. That race is actually going to be longer than this second Texas race today in our doubleheader. This one was 167 because we ran 50% of the race. It'll be a 300-miler tomorrow, so 200 laps at Texas for the Busch Series. We'll try to get Dale Jr. a win at the track. He got his first Busch and his Cup Series win at. Maybe that'll bode well for him. 14th today, not so great, but we'll see. He's definitely a lot further in points behind in the Busch Series. By far the worst in points in the Busch Series compared to the other 2 series. I'm in 5th and 7th in the Truck and Cup, but I think the Busch Series I'm outside the top 15 still, so I've got some catching up to do there. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow night, and have a good one.